These terrifying images from the China-Nepal border show the disaster unfolding. A monster wave crashing down from the mountains, sweeping away everything in its path, including vehicles, buildings, even people. A surveillance camera in Tibet showing crowds running for safety. This morning, the catastrophic scale of it all coming into fuller view as the desperate search for survivors in riverside villages swallowed up now getting underway. Hundreds of foreign tourists are missing, including dozens of Americans.
My parents, Ramesh Sharma and Neelam Sharma, the last time we heard from them was when they crossed the border at 8 a.m. And we haven't heard from them since. We're just waiting to hear from them and just any information.
The State Department releasing a statement saying the U.S. Embassy in Nepal is working to account for any U.S. citizens affected and calls for survivors to avoid riverbanks and low-lying areas and seek higher ground. This man saying a helicopter rescued him from his terrace. My wife, he says, was already buried in the mudslide. Soldiers from Nepal's army being deployed to the areas hardest hit, but getting there won't be easy. With roads and bridges wiped out, electricity and phone signals cut off. Before and after images show how forcefully the landscape has been altered. The concern now is that the danger has not yet passed, that unstable land along the narrow Himalayan corridor can easily give way. With the death toll certain to rise, it is a race against time on both sides of the border to dig out entire communities from the mud and hope for survivors.
We are learning more about what triggered the devastating floods. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, part of a glacier in the Himalayas collapsed onto the valley floor and created such powerful seismic energy that it was confused with an earthquake. It triggered an avalanche. All that rock and ice came tumbling down and swept into the river, causing those surges of water, Craig, and the devastation that we're seeing today.
Well, we certainly hope and pray that they're able to find more survivors there. Janice, thank you.
Hello. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday.
Hello. Happy Thursday. Oh, no. Can't hear. Okay. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having a lovely week. And I hope you're going to have a lovely weekend. That is just horrible what's going on in Nepal. Oh, yeah. My gosh. Hi, Miss Macy. Hi, Old Man Barker. Kieran. Jamie's new. Hi, Jamie. Welcome.
Nice to see you.
Welcome.
Always nice to see new guests. Thank you.
Yep. And Jacqueline will be back soon, she says. Did I say hi to Indy?
Yeah, what's up, Indy?
So. Old Man Barker. So I want to read this from Miss Macy. I knew a girl that had a biologist for a dad and lived in Venezuela and Nepal. She had some stories, though, although a little propagandized. So
aren't we all?
Hoping to hear some of the stories. Aren't we all a little propagandized? That is my takeaway from that, right? Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
It's been horrifying to watch.
Yeah, but as the
videos are coming out.
As horrifying as that is, it's a little bit of a reminder about the climate change issue that gets always pushed to the back burner when it's actually basically our biggest existential crisis, you could argue, apart from the potential existential threat from nuclear winter warfare. But really, this climate change stuff, because of pardon me, guys, by the way, if you're having a hard time hearing me, I don't know if you can hear, but I've strained my voice a little bit because there was a bit of an incident last night. I'll get into it in a moment, but I'll just try and finish my thoughts before whatever I was saying about the
climate change.
Right. So this is one of those like one of many unfortunate, very serious incidents, like pieces of evidence that builds up the case for the climate change, which is just considered to be a narrative by too many people still at this point. And while I am happy to include the possibility, not just the possibility, but the like the fact that there is weather manipulation technology of governments that is certainly at play. It is yes and both of them. And so for when people are trying to use the argument that they can manipulate the weather to create earthquakes and whatnot, yes, but that does not negate the fact that the CO2 issue is a thing. So yeah. Not to mention all the rest of the climate destruction besides the CO2 that is like destroying our food supply and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, does it really matter? We're gonna get our meat from shit meat from Argentina, so we'll be fine. Everything's fine.
There's always some other place to extract the meat from or whatever. Fine. Yeah, right.
Everything's fine. So Indy is going live at 10 p.m. Eastern. That is 9 Central and 7 p.m. Pacific. Oh, with Jesse. Is that Jesse Jet?
That's the musical edition.
Yeah. Okay. And his wife. Cool. The first episode of American Tradition is 6 weeks. So, yeah, guys, hop on over to see that after you're done messing with us. I know I'll be there.
Yeah,
thank you for letting us know, Indy. I wonder if Jesse's wife can sing.
Oh yeah, I've heard her before. She's a great singer.
Oh, okay, interesting. What else are they saying here? Oh, Miss Macy says the Nepal lady is propagandized because her dad worked in DC. Yeah, I found this guy on social. Speaking of propagandized, did you are able to watch the stuff I sent you? Were you?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna agree on this. You seem.
I found this.
I'm suspicious of this.
You're always suspicious.
I know. Yeah. But, so you go ahead. You explain what you're talking about.
So his name is Thomas C. Coleman III, and he's like, I stopped on him because he was cute, right? And I was just, let me see what he's talking about. And he was just talking about some crazy shit. And I mean crazy shit. About the Illuminati and
crazy
and all this stuff. And he's like, he was part of the Illuminati. He was actually indoctrinated into it by his father, who was in the military. And he's like, and all the stuff he was saying, I was just so curious. So I said, let me see if I could go down a rabbit hole and see if this dude is actually 10 toes down on what he's saying. So I found his father's obituary. And everything he said about his father is true. So his father served in the military intelligence corps and spent a lot of time in South Korea, which is where he met his wife, which is the Junior's mother. He was a Mason. It says it right here in his obituary. And he did belong to this fraternity, Phi Kappa Theta. All of this is right here in his obituary. So he said he was like, he was indoctrinated at a young age to become like a military infiltrator and spy or what have you. And he, at the end, he was about to cry. Like he feels really remorseful about it. But he started doing stuff when he was as young as like 14, 15 years old. He would like get dirt on people, on the rich people's kids, kind of like a Jeffrey Epstein or what have you. He would do things to influence them to do shitty stuff. Like he'd give them cocaine and ecstasy and stuff like that. Which means he was also taking it himself because he couldn't look like he was just giving it to them and not partaking. And his parents are fine. His dad was fine with that, as long as he was getting the job done. It was really, really crazy. Thomas C. What did I say? Coleman. Thomas C. Coleman III. If you ever want to look him up.
Yeah. I did look him up a little bit, and I'm going to be pouring some cold water on this one. Okay, I'm not going to be siding with you on this a little too much. I'm thinking that first of all, whenever it's an ex-spy says I'm no longer a spy, I don't really believe you. Okay, and we're typically been like with Tucker Carlson and Max Blumenthal, we've been somewhat skeptical and looking at them with an extra side eye because the apple doesn't necessarily fall far from the tree as far as there is something of a like in military families in general, but I suppose it applies with the intelligence community too. There is a kind of generational like sons follow in their father's footsteps. We could say put it that way, you know, and daughters too and whatnot. So I found
I could see that. I could see that, but also comparing him to Tucker Carlson, I don't think that's fair because Tucker Carlson has been doing. Well, let me finish.
Sorry, yeah.
Let me finish. As an adult, he's been doing this for decades. As an adult, a fully fledged adult that fully understands what he's doing, whereas this dude, he was a kid, and I guess like when he started coming of age, he just knew what he was doing wasn't right, and didn't want to do it anymore. I'm not saying that he's not still in there. I'm just saying I could see that. I could believe that more than I would believe Tucker Carlson, who is definitely still CIA.
Well, what I'm saying is if he's been trained by the Illuminati, groomed from a young age, trained as a spy, then he literally has these skills to, when he's claiming or acting like he cares or crying, like showing some kind of emotional whatever,
That's true.
Pull you in. That's exactly what they fucking train them how to do. And I would just I've checked out his YouTube channel, and I found a video called "The Illuminati Started Communism and Fascism." And to be honest, this kind of content, I watched the video. It's pretty like garbage as far as like evidence that he's claiming. Like it's just like repeats the kind of original claim without really backing up the original claim in such a way as to suggest that there is more kind of a psychological conditioning at play than a real kind of provision of evidence for your theory. And when you come out with this kind of Illuminati or whatever started communism and fascism, it's all one big conspiracy or whatever. What you've done is you've created an anti-communist narrative, even though you've balanced it with an anti-fascist narrative. Apparently what you've done is you've done what everyone does with communism, whatever, that they're taught to do, which is to throw the USSR and Nazi Germany into the same bucket as if it's all one just big thing of fascism or global occultic conspiracy. So
you've actually watched more of his videos than me, because I didn't get a chance to go into it. I just watched this one and where he was explaining what he used to do and all that stuff. And I was like,
the vibe I got from him when I watched the video is like, this is that kind of right-wing sort of like the anti-woke sort of position where they're calling the audience like dumbass every 10 seconds or so, in this kind of like psychological like negging that you would do almost to like pick up a chick if you were a misogynistic man sort of thing, but you're just applying it to the audience as a whole. And this kind of like, I don't have to, it's like, what do you call it? That, God damn, there's a specific word for it, whatever. There's the appealing, using emotions to sway a crowd instead of facts or whatever, you know what I mean? But it'll come to me later. But that's exactly what it is. You know, it's like, if you don't agree with me, it's because you're an idiot. It's not because I didn't make my case. And it's unhinged shit, and it's supposed to be. That's what works on the internet these days. So that's my take on that.
Well, I haven't seen that one, so
we could share it. I could share it now, but I don't really know if I want to be sharing this kind of guy's content. Whatever. I don't know. What do you want? Like,
I mean, if you think it's an interesting thing to share,
it might be important to like to do a critique of it, a breakdown, and kind of like as a warning to like, hey, as far as we're going to be calling ourselves leftists, socialists, or like trying to, if you want to be cozying up to those of us who call ourselves that, or not more than just call ourselves, are actually that, basically, as far as walking the walk and whatnot. When people kind of like, these are the narratives that it's like, it's a bit of a problem or suspicious when people are like, oh, I'm a socialist, but I also endorse this guy who basically undermines communism. You know what I mean? So,
but just playing their content doesn't make it an endorsement.
Exactly, which is why I'm saying it would be if we played it uncritically. But as far as I've considering that I've made the kind of statement that I just did or whatever, that's exact. It would not be like I've removed the possibility that it could be an endorsement, basically. So.
Yeah, I don't see that video that you're talking about.
I'm gonna share it in a second. I'm just gonna. You want me to put it in? I'll put it in the private chat. I was just gonna. There's one other thing I was gonna mention before we get playing it. As far as
this is like, interesting, though.
Go ahead.
Sorry, this is interesting. That video that I watched, I saw it on YouTube, so I didn't see the. On here it says, I'm a fucking mercenary intelligence officer. That was a year ago, so I'm just seeing his content. But it says, I'm a, as in like present tense. Interesting.
So I shared the video in the private chat, but just before we do that, I just want to make the point, like, for those who want to slander communism as having some nefarious origin in Freemasonry or some Judeo conspiracy or some Illuminati conspiracy, there is a case made by Marxists themselves that Marxism's always been against this secret society stuff, whatever. It is a bourgeois kind of thing to do, very much, to do all this secrecy and deception and backstabbing. So there is a case to be made if you're willing to actually fucking read. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. That's all I'm saying. You can go ahead and play the video there. I'm just saying for the record, okay?
Speaking of, there's a case to be made if you actually go and read. I don't know if you've seen all the farmers who are really upset right now with the policies that have been put forth by this administration, you know, the meat and all that stuff. And everybody's asking them, well, who'd you vote for? And that's pissing them off even more because they're like, I'll never vote for a Democrat, communist. Like, you're laughing at us because saying we deserve it. And then everybody's like, well, it was in Project 2025, so no. It's in chapter 10. Tells you right there. Just didn't want to read. Kept trying to tell you. So I just think that's been quite interesting the last day or two, seeing the crash outs and the triggering of people in the farming industry because they're not being supported like they think they should be. Anyway.
A lot of crying going on these days.
It's a lot of crashing out happening these days. Okay, so you sent. Oh wait, it's here. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, I'm hoping to not try to speak as much. Trying to save my voice. I gotta have to work tomorrow, and I might have to speak up so as not to get bumped into kind of thing. So I'll maybe just briefly explain, since you're calling up the video, why my voice is so hoarse. My friend and neighbor got arrested again last night. I don't want to tell too much of any personal details. I'm just saying that I heard him getting into an altercation in the hallway, and I went out to lend my support without trying to get too involved. I maybe was kind of a little too cutting a little closer than I'd like to getting arrested myself or whatever, but I wanted to do, like, sometimes de-escalation is a good, like, important sort of thing in that kind of moment. And so but it's just an altercation between him and someone that I've been warning him about for a long time anyway, and so it's just something that's very sad and depressing, and I'm not sure what I did exactly is the right thing, right? But we got to try and, we say we're going to be there for people. What does it mean when it's like when something goes down that you're just going to like hide inside?
Well, I would say
Anyway.
You can only be there so much because that could be used against you in court, and your objective is with your children. That's like your first priority. So be very careful.
Yeah, no, I know, but yeah, it's just when a friend of yours is getting assaulted by somebody, and there was a situation like, because I felt kind of responsible for him getting arrested last time because there was
Michael.
some advice. I know, you never know actually who, even if you think you don't associate with criminals, but they like to keep themselves a little bit hidden. But anyway, what was I saying? Fuck.
You were saying that you're not going to put your neck out there too much because you have to focus on your top priority. That's what you were saying.
Well, that was what you were saying, but that's good point. Yeah, I'm not trying to get into that. I just wanted to explain, like, that I would appreciate if Abby would ever try to, like, we got lots of news to get through, by the way. Good news, I think, that we're talking about, but if you wouldn't mind if you would read some of the articles for me, basically, tonight.
I don't mind. Okay, so we're ready. This is titled, what's it titled? The Illuminati Started Communism and Fascism.
I remember what I was going to say real quick. I was just, because I felt guilty about him getting arrested last time, I wanted to maybe try and set the record straight. That's what. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so here we go. And glad you're back, Jacqueline. Okay, there we go. And hi, Sean.
The occult has been a source of inspiration for many ideologies throughout history. The term occult refers to practices and beliefs that are beyond the realm of normal human experience and understanding. In this video, we will explore some of the ideologies that are products of the occult. One of the most well-known ideologies that are products of the occult directly is Thelema, which was founded by Aleister Crowley in the early 20th century. Thelema is based on the belief that every individual has a unique purpose in life, which they must discover and fulfill.
I don't know if you want to
Thelema also emphasizes...
want to speed it up, or is he speaking a bit slow to you? Or
Yeah, I think so.
what's up,
I think
Egg?
he's trying to sound serious,
Dramatic.
or whatever. Like, dude, just say what you gotta say.
Is the importance of personal freedom and the rejection of traditional morality. Another ideology that is a product of the occult is Satanism, which is based on the worship of Satan or other demonic entities. Satanism is often associated with black magic and other occult practices, and it's often seen as a rebellion against traditional religious beliefs and values. New Age spirituality is another ideology that is influenced by the occult. New Age spirituality is based on the belief that individuals...
Wait, is he referring to like Satanism as like the Church of Satan?
I guess, but
Because the Church of Satan is not bad. So maybe, the Church of Satan is just basically like atheists who are like, I guess it's more like I'd rather be a Satanist than a Christian because there's no hate like Christian love. And I should say Christian naturalists, by the way. I should make a distinction, of course.
Well, see, I wouldn't call Satanists atheists. I would say that in order for them to actually be a Satanist, they have to reconfirm the Christian worldview, ironically. But they have to invert it. So, which is the whole thing about, like, what he's insinuating is that this Satanism is like born out of occultism, that it's, but to me, like, Satanism and occultism is almost synonymous. Like when you're a Satanist, you're believing and trying to dive into all of this occultic practices and belief systems and crap. And so, it's just this. But for what I'm saying earlier, but like for Satanism, you have to, in order to believe that Satan exists, you have to believe that the whole story about him being cast out of heaven by God. So then you confirm the existence of God. You just alter the whatever advice as far as what to do about such a being.
Yeah, but I was correct though. Not in saying they're atheists, but I think most of them are atheists, or at least agnostic or humanist or what have you.
That's why there's a lot of people
if you go to the
church, they believe one thing, and then they're in practice that we can observe that they are a different thing.
If you go to the Church of Satan and just read the blurb, it's almost like a play on words. But okay, here we go. So now New Age spirituality.
Individuals can achieve spiritual enlightenment through various practices.
All things come down to it's reductio ad Illuminati. Illuminati all the way down.
Okay.
Practices such as meditation, yoga, and crystal healing. New Age spirituality also emphasizes the importance of personal growth and the rejection of traditional religious beliefs and practices. One of the most well-known political ideologies that are connected to the occult is fascism. Fascism is a far-right political ideology that emphasizes the importance of natural unity, authoritarianism, and the rejection of liberal democracy. Fascism is often associated with the use of symbols and rituals that are inspired by the occult, such as the swastika and the Roman salute. Another political ideology that is connected to the occult is anarchism. Anarchism is a political ideology that emphasizes the importance of individual freedom and the rejection of all forms of authority. Anarchism is often associated with the use of symbols and rituals that are inspired by the occult, such as the black flag and the use of masks during protests. There is a long-standing debate about the connection between communism, socialism, fascism, and the occult. While some argue that these political ideologies are not connected to the occult, others believe that they were produced for occult agendas. Let us explore the arguments for and against the connection between these political ideologies and the occult. Communism is a political ideology that emphasizes the...
So he's, okay, so far he's not saying that, he says some people, but, when you say some people, but some people do.
He's just sticking in generalities is what I've observed. All he's saying is some people say this and some people say that. And
but a lot of
what he's saying. But he's not saying much. Sorry,
a lot of MAGAs do say that.
I'm just saying.
I don't disagree with what he just said so far.
There is also, it reminds me there's 3 downward arrows I'll have to try and call it a little ideology movement from back in the day. But the arrows basically mean anti-monarchy, anti-fascism, anti-communism. So they're claiming in a way to be like more radical than communists because they're against authoritarianism in general, you know. But it's like part of the psyop ideologies that spring up in reaction to or in response to Marxism and communism and stuff. And they're like artificially created, like CIA kind of fucking ideologies. That's my belief anyway. Cobra might understand what I'm talking about. What's up, Cobra? With the 3 downward arrows, better than me probably anyway. Yeah.
Rondo says, "Look, Rondo. Every time he says a cult, y'all gotta take a drink. We'll be drunk before it's over with." A cult is, Lance says, a cult is just another word for the stuff they don't teach us in school. That's a good point.
The downward arrows is the Social Democrats. My bad. I should have known that. But I should remember that. Just another indictment against the Social Democrats.
Silly Cobra. All right. So let me get back to it.
Importance of collective ownership of the means of production and the rejection of private property. While some may argue that communism is not connected to the occult, others believe that it was produced for occult agendas. For example, some argue that the Soviet Union was heavily influenced by occult beliefs, such as the belief in the power of symbols and the use of propaganda to manipulate the masses. Socialism is a political ideology that emphasizes the importance of social equity,
basically,
equality.
If you believe propaganda works, you're an occultist.
Well, some may argue that.
Wait. Say again?
If you believe propaganda works, and if you believe symbols are powerful, then I guess you're an occultist? What is that?
He said, okay, so Russia, he said, like, wait. What did he say about, I'm just going to play it again.
Yeah, just watch.
Here it is, okay. Some argue that the Soviet Union was heavily influenced by occult beliefs, such as the belief in the power of symbols and the use of propaganda to manipulate the masses. What does that have to do with communism? Because he's talking about.
That's what I'm saying. How are you going to equate or just these are just part of the list of things that they believe in, those occultists? The power of symbols, whatever. Well, a lot of people believe in the power of symbols without being a fucking occultist. How about the people with their Christian crosses and their Muslim crescents and their Jewish stars and fucking every other religion that's not fucking occult to begin with, okay? And they're just
he's talking about. Sorry, he's talking about this. Okay, when it was a communist state. Okay, so. I just don't get it. Not this part.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And the use of propaganda to manipulate the masses. Socialism is a political ideology that emphasizes the importance of social equity, equality, and the rejection of capitalism. While some may argue that socialism is not connected to the occult, others believe that it was produced for occult agendas. For example, some argue that the Fabian Society, a socialist organization founded in the late 19th century, was heavily influenced by occult beliefs, such as the belief in the power of symbols and the use of propaganda to manipulate the masses. And again, fascism.
Wait, he said the same thing for both.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Symbols
part of it is just repetition for psychological conditioning, whatever, as opposed to maybe making salient facts.
Yeah. Okay.
Is a political ideology that emphasizes the importance of national unity, authoritarianism, and the rejection of liberal democracy. While some argue that fascism is not connected to the occult, others believe that it was produced for occult agendas as well. For example, some argue that the Nazi Party was heavily influenced by occult beliefs, such as the belief in the power of symbols and the use of propaganda. Again.
Okay, he just keeps saying the same thing.
Yep.
Do we have to finish watching this? This is not like serving any purpose.
But I guess that was the guy you were talking about. I was like, this is the same guy, and I don't know if it was a different one I was watching where he's got his face right. Like this is one where he's just narrating, you know. But
yeah, I was just talking about him being part of the Illuminati and being groomed at a young age to do the things he was doing. That's all I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, I also it might be a good time for me to mention when I had brought up this this thing called Discordianism last episode or a few weeks ago or whatever. I think we might want to return to that topic because one of the things I found out that's associated with these Discordianists, which basically means like worshippers of chaos. It's like the first internet religion that people were calling a pseudo religion, but part of its background is that they like legally fought to not be deemed a pseudo religion when basically they're like a parody religion, right? Their whole thing is about being anti-order, so they're like pro chaos, and so they want to like make everything confusing on purpose and do whatever they want as some kind of like anti-fascist, like rebellious, like psychedelic inspired kind of um, revolutionary kind of so-called revolutionary attitude. And so one of their things that was Operation Mindfuck, which is to try and like sow as much discord as possible, make people as and it says in all of this, whatever on their Wikipedia page or on the stuff I was reading or whatever about it, that they invented the Illuminati to fuck with people's heads, part of that Operation Mindfuck thing. So to take that, you could take that seriously or whatever, or you could do what like most people. I mean, the Illuminati did historically exist, I would imagine, but the question is, has it been petered out, stamped out, or does it still exist in some form?
I don't think it has. And also, like, he's just naming political ideologies of the way to govern a country. So why does he keep calling them occults? Like, you mean the way countries are governed? Like, so we can call capitalism an occult then, right? Like, all of them are cults, I guess. It's
just a fancy word.
It didn't make any sense.
It's like conspiracy is a fancy word for a secret plot, which does happen all the time. Occult just means hidden. So when we go, it's one of those things that it's useful for a psychological manipulation tool to be, the occult, like especially with idealists who aren't people who are not materialists, because they're willing to believe like that it's possible that there's these supernatural dark forces that you can like commune with to manipulate the course of events with reality. And so like that's like the people, you kind of appeal to the irrational in people and kind of enjoy that. There's a side of human beings that likes to kind of indulge in creative thinking. So,
but I mean, like, but what's hidden?
A lot of stuff we're ignorant.
No, I'm talking about in communism, socialism, fascism. We are very clear that these things exist. They've been defined. They've been talked about and discussed 1,000 times over. So what's hidden about it? Like,
we're very open about try to be. We feel it's important to be very open about much of what we do. But I guess to maybe the one thing that I would say could be hidden about communism as far as revolutionary praxis concerning actual tactics to accomplish revolution necessarily necessitate whatever a certain degree of secrecy when it comes to resisting like anti-imperial resistance, for example. Like if you're going to actually defy the unjust, illegitimate order that acts as if it is the law, okay, then you do have to kind of behave in such a way as to be not particularly 100% honest, which is out of self-preservation and it's out of coercion from the state that has us all under duress, trying to treat us like wage slaves, not treating us, but successfully forcing us into wage slavery. And so, yes, sorry, it pales in comparison to the amount of secrecy and whatnot that the state and the police, the fascists are involved in all the time. Anyway.
Good point, John. Hi, John. There are no secret societies anymore. They've all been exposed, but they still hold secrets. Well, there might be some secret societies we don't know about. Remember that? Remember the secret society, Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel and his cronies. We found out about that later.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's like a romanticizing of the ruling class. The ruling class is already a secret society. It's a gated community. Do we actually get to know what's going on in there? Do they let us in on what's happening? Would it be a fucking problem for them, an existential crisis, if we actually knew what they said and are planning? Of course it would be. So, yeah.
Well, that secret society is actually pretty treasonous because he should not. There's no is conflict upon interest upon conflict upon interest. That all of these people are in the same room with each other. The one who writes the policy, the one who is on the committee to regulate the company, like that. Why are they in the same room, hanging out at a ditty party?
Yeah, you see what happens when you get a little small disclosure about some of what they're up to behind closed doors with that type of stuff. But do you want to get back to the video, or do you want to go to other? We got other stuff to cover, or?
Let me just see. Rondo said it's surface slop. Let me see. Let me just see it real quick, and then I might get too annoyed. But
believed that the traditional institutions of religion and government were obstacles to human progress, and that they needed to be replaced with a new system based on reason and science. The Illuminati also believed in the importance of individual freedom and the rejection of all forms of authority. The Illuminati's ideology was heavily influenced by the Enlightenment, a cultural and intellectual movement that emerged in Europe in the 17th and 18th centuries. The Enlightenment emphasized the importance of reason, science, and individual freedom, and it had a profound impact on the development of modern Western society.
Wait a minute. Who is the Illuminati? They must believe that just for themselves. So that must be like the Peter Thiels and all those synagogues of Satan.
Well, one thing he does say is
they're
that
trying to.
If what he's saying is true about the original Illuminati back in like the 17 or 1800s or whatever, about that they were kind of like influenced by the Enlightenment, so science and reason as a way to produce like whatever heaven on earth kind of thing, right? And so the people who are often anti-enlightenment are the same kind of people who are anti-woke, the same kind of the people who romanticize fascism and stuff like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But also, when the funny thing about enlightenment is that produces the progressives, there is that eugenic critique that we need to make of some of the products of the Enlightenment, because this idea, through science and reason, we're going to produce a better human race, not just a society. And so, like, there does become a limit between where you become. There is such a thing as too woke, people might say. Like you can become a little bit too. I'm so smart that like I'm a technocrat now. I get to tell everyone what to do. Only the smart people should be allowed to have power. So that's what I was trying to get.
The Illuminati's ideology also had a significant impact on the development of modern conspiracy theories. Many conspiracy theories suggest that the Illuminati is a secret society that controls world events, and that it is responsible for many of the problems facing modern society. Many of these conspiracy theories often draw on the Illuminati's emphasis on secrecy and the rejection of traditional institutions of power. The Illuminati is a secret society that has been the subject of much speculation and conspiracy theories. While the existence of the Illuminati is still debated, there is evidence to suggest that the group played a role in the birth of both fascism and communism. The Illuminati was founded in Bavaria in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of law at the University of Ingolstadt. The group was dedicated to the promotion of reason and the overthrow of traditional institutions such as the church and the monarchy. The Illuminati was also committed to the idea of world government, which would be run by enlightened individuals who were free from the prejudices of religion and nationality. The ideas of the Illuminati were influential in the development of both fascism and communism. Fascism, which emerged in Italy in the early 20th century, was characterized by a strong central government, a cult of personality around a leader, and the suppression of individual rights. These ideas were similar to those of the Illuminati, which also advocated for a strong central government and the suppression of traditional institutions. Communism, on the other hand, was based on the idea of a classless society in which the means of production were owned by the people. This idea was also influenced by the Illuminati, which believed in the redistribution of wealth and the elimination of social classes. The connection between the Illuminati and fascism and communism can be seen in the writings of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, who were both members of the Communist League.
Someone point out that source
Wait,
for me,
what?
because he just makes a claim with nothing to back it up. That's sort of like,
That didn't make sense. Okay. Where am I? Okay. This idea that the idea was influenced by the Illuminati, which believed in the redistribution of wealth and the elimination of social classes. That doesn't make sense.
Elimination of social classes.
I don't know if I've ever heard that before about the Illuminati. I suppose
Yeah, that I've never.
I don't know. Like I found other things. There are some, like, today's actually a big news day. It's not like one of those slow news days or whatever. So it's like there's lots to read about besides this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Maybe it means redistributing the wealth upward to them, and they are they are the class. Like, if he means it that way, then okay, yeah, I got you there. But that's not the way it came out.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly what I was thinking too, by the way. Is that if, as far as redistribution of wealth, that what they've been doing in real time in the past few decades, like with COVID, upward transfers of wealth with this whole depopulation agenda, which is targeting the lowest classes first, but anyone really who's against the plan, So
Sean, this shit was written by Tim Pool. I bet you anything.
Well, just as far as what I'm saying, gotta bet some of these Japanese, South Korean, like what XD, whatever. Shout out to XD, what he's been saying. Like, some of the shit that these people believe is pretty fucking fascist and unhinged, right? Like, you have to kind of, unfortunately, like some of these American soldiers and whatnot, whatever, the kids that they've had with a South Korean woman or what, like, that kid's pretty much had not really had much of a chance to know like what the fuck to think about the world, because their parents are gonna fill his head with a bunch of fucking bullshit. Okay. It happens to white people far more than anyone, really, to be honest. But definitely, I feel for like South Koreans and Taiwanese and Japanese and Filipinos and all kinds of other people, like, because there's this kind of American influence on their society that is real. So, yeah.
My hell priest tells us the Illuminati are the guys with the white hats on, the good guys. They want to redistribute wealth, you guys. That's funny. All right, I guess we had enough with him. I don't know.
I have to figure out what should we go to next. Let me see what's a good place.
Okay, well, while you do that, I'm going to let it play out there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The connection between the Illuminati and fascism and communism can be seen in the writings of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, who were both members of the Communist League. Marx and Engels were influenced by the ideas of the Illuminati, and their writings reflect this influence. In conclusion, the Illuminati played a role in the birth of both fascism and communism in the French Republic and the United States of America. The group's ideas about the role of government and the elimination of traditional institutions were influential in the development of both political ideologies. While the existence of the Illuminati is still debated, there is evidence to suggest that the group's ideas continue to influence politics and society as today. In fact, it was J.D. Rockefeller who funded Karl Marx and Engels.
Can we substantiate that? Did J.D. Rockefeller fund Karl Marx?
Yeah, maybe after the show, if you want to, like, we'll do some research after we're, offline and stuff. I'd be happy to kind of substantiate or invalidate some of these claims.
Because if that is true, that is very interesting.
This is one of the things about, well, you got to get to how do you make, what I'm saying about the tactics to literally get a revolution to happen. You do have to do the same thing we do with capitalists. You got to do the follow the money, Okay, and then you get into some kind of uncomfortable questions or answers. So,
And if he said he was in the Illuminati, why is he saying while the existence of the Illuminati is still debated?
that's what I'm saying. That's like some fucking spy bullshit, because they're saying it's creating cognitive dissonance in the mind of the reader by making claims right side by side each other that don't make sense, and then moving on as if you just made a normal statement or something. I don't even know. I'm not a fucking trained spy, but anyway, you got to try and figure out how they are. Want to be fooled by them, that's for sure.
Is this no? There's no video, right? I'm reading.
Yeah. This is just
okay. So
that's what I always tend to, when I look into the news, I find it you do maybe learn a little bit more of what's going on if you read the articles, even though the articles are definitely, like, from mainstream media articles, propaganda as much as the video from the news anchor. But I don't know. I guess just I find reading is better. Maybe I'm wrong. So.
August 27th, 2026. I mean,
I figure we start with a fun story first.
A guy brought a freaking guillotine to the Supreme Court building and somehow wasn't locked up for it. Why would you be locked up?
Those damn leftists with their creative performative protests. How dare they not be arrested for it? Sorry.
I mean, what did he do? What? Okay. Okay, you're telling me that U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro's crack prosecutors couldn't even get remand on this dude?
What does America come to?
Yeah, they're like, you're wasting your rage on this one, my guy.
I don't know. I'm here for it.
I have accepted fully that we are all living through an artificial timeline created by some superior beings who combine the wisdom of the spheres with the imagination of Mel Brooks. But sometimes, damn, man, I just don't know. From the Washington Post. Federal prosecutors on Wednesday unsuccessfully argued that a man police say transported a guillotine in the back of his truck and parked it alongside the Supreme Court building should be kept in jail in the D.C. jail. The U.S. Capitol Police arrested 35-year-old Philin Tom Dooley of Julian, California on Tuesday and initially charged him with carrying a dangerous weapon. On Wednesday afternoon, prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia instead brought a misdemeanor charge of attempted possession of a prohibited weapon. They asked Judge Robert Hildum to hold Lay in the D.C. jail, saying Lay is from California and has no roots and has been driving around the country for 3 weeks, living out of his vehicle. Living out of his vehicle with a freaking guillotine in said vehicle? Defense attorney Charles Merker, that's an interesting last name, who's representing Lay at the arrangement, standing in for his defense attorney Anthony Smith, argued against keeping Lay incarcerated. Merker said living out of his car was no justification. I was on a 7-week road trip recently myself, he said. The judge declined to grant the prosecutor's request to hold him, citing Lay's lack of criminal history and his cooperation with police so far. He didn't even threaten anyone, Hildum said during the hearing in arraignment court. While possessing the guillotine is a very, very serious thing, Hildum said, it was pure speculation that Lay would not show for his next court hearing. All due respect to his honor, but my biggest concern wouldn't be whether this gentleman will turn up for his next court appearance. My biggest concern is whether they gave him his freaking guillotine back. And by the way, we could chalk up another L for the U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro's crack prosecutors. They couldn't get remand on a guy arrested outside the Supreme Court with a freaking guillotine. When the officers arrived, Lay was perched on the wooden platform of the 10-foot tall guillotine in the bed of his black Toyota Tacoma pickup, according to the arrest report. It was parked in a spot for permit holders. The Library of Congress. Let me see here. Move along. Okay.
That's it. Yeah. I just thought that was funny. Caught my eye.
To be
Well played, sir.
said about, like, you can't bring a guillotine to a protest. Like, was it short?
Coming to you can't bring a guillotine to the Supreme Court building anymore. Come on, where are my libertarian freedoms?
I mean, was it short? I mean, short.
Yeah, I like how that's like just he probably like looked this up before he went and found the loophole that you can't necessarily technically classify a guillotine as a weapon, which is hilarious considering what its purpose is. But they have not written the law. That's the way this positivist law works.
So, so it says, you know, they charged him with carrying a dangerous weapon, but then they had to change the charges to
attempted possession.
Oh, attempted
of something he
possession
clearly had possession of. What the fuck?
What's wrong? Toss your head.
Everything good?
Mm-hmm. You have something else you want me to look up?
Well, I mean, just also that, yeah, for the next story, yeah, just the last comment on that. They're trying to go after him for living in his vehicle with a guillotine. So that's kind of like a classist argument that they try to fall back on to make their case. Like, fuck you guys.
Okay. Is it illegal to own a guillotine? Am I sharing the right page? No, it is generally not illegal. Am I sharing the right page?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
No, it is generally not illegal to own a guillotine as private property, but displaying or transporting it in public, especially near government buildings, can lead to criminal charges. Okay. City codes may restrict large wooden structures, safety hazards, or attractive nuances in residential yards. And bringing the device into public areas can be viewed as a physical threat or disorderly conduct. Okay. Oh, so they could charge you with reckless endangerment. For what? So, but I can carry a AR-15. So what's the difference? It's like selective outrage.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to look for the next thing to go to. And I guess we could give the audience a choice if you'd like, or I could just choose or whatever. But because I got the story about there's been apparently a CIA chief went to visit Moscow, which is fairly unprecedented, rare, and strange. Not exactly unprecedented, but like now of all things, you're supposedly doing this proxy war in Ukraine, and yet you're going to let the American spy chief into the country. There's one of the things about, if you don't want to look like you're kind of cooperating with the Americans, like the whole ruling class of all countries, working against the working class of all countries, conspiracy nonsense, maybe you shouldn't be on such cozy terms that you're going to act like you're ready to push the fucking nuclear button at any moment, but then, oh, hey, come on down, fucking CIA chief, we'll fucking roll out the table for you. So there's that story, or then we can talk about the economic situation with the U.S. has put on 7.5% tariff on China, while they're making up big stories about 50% tariffs on Canada, which is a big kind of giveaway There's a
Oh
story
yeah,
about
I was gonna ask you about that because I saw your what do you call him? Prime Minister or what have you?
Mr. Mark Carney.
He was like, I'll see your tariffs and I'll raise you a tariff for every tariff. I was like, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd kind of appreciate the fact that whether he likes it or not, he's forced into a position to act all like have to maybe do something to look more to be tougher than he wants to be, not just like kind of acting tough. So there's also a story about the UK being threatened with sanctions as well, which is kind of like there's a little bit of a connected, like the CIA chief goes to Russia, and we don't know what really they're talking about. But then after that, Russia comes out with a statement strong against the UK, not the US, about you better stand down from your support, your hardline support, whatever your rhetoric, whatever, in like absolute whatever defense of Ukraine and whatnot, or Russia will strike British targets, kind of thing. And at the same time that the U.S. is pressuring Britain because Britain's decided that it's maybe going to put some sanctions on Israel for what they're doing in the West Bank. So as far as the claim that we've always kind of been saying that this Canada, UK, whatever, this what they're doing is kabuki theater. It's not really real resistance to the U.S. empire. But they may be in such a position that they're being pressured, trying to do their balancing act between China and U.S. and whatnot, with a fucking economy screaming at them, and if they don't do something or whatever, the people might fucking do something. Like the stakes are very high in Europe, the UK, and Canada, whatever. So like we maybe need to revise our understanding about what's kind of happening here. They probably want everything to go back to normal and be like friends with America again, but everything's fucking hitting the fan. And so when that really happens, some of China's strategy is probably designed about this exact, trying to create this kind of exact situation. When things really start to fall apart, then everyone starts to think in a much more every man for themselves mentality, regardless of the fact that all these other Western nations have been vassal states for all of this time so far. But things change when we're understanding things dialectically, right? So maybe at some point we cross a threshold where, considering states like Canada and the UK as a vassal state, whatever, when their actions are maybe a little bit more bold, that would cause you to be blind to what maybe like the changes that are happening under our nose. But we have to be cautious with trying to take their word for it when he's saying, "I'm gonna fucking go toe to toe with you, you fucking Trump," or whatever. But the thing is, though, that's why I've been pissed off whenever we don't do more, because we actually have some serious leverage as long as we coordinate our activities with other states in the right times, right? Like as long as we, and like China too, like if China's like maybe we should close off on what is China actually doing, because what they're doing is a little bit counterintuitive. They seem to be saving the global capitalist economy, saving the US dollar for now. What's the fucking strategy behind that? But we have to maybe have some faith in them that they're getting themselves well lined up to place that dagger or whatever, where it will never come out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that is quite interesting. Like, what incentive do you have to save our globe? Like, maybe because we owe them a lot of money.
The Communist Party was to overthrow the capitalist bourgeois system. It's like their strategy, I think, about opening up to the world economy, and like the Deng Xiaoping, whatever, since the 80s and whatnot, there's been a great amount of success that they're really loud about, but there's a whole lot of contradictions and like mistakes, I think, that were inherent in that approach, that like they're a little now they if they bring down America, they go down with it in a sense. They've tied their economy
right. That's what I was thinking.
As much as they argue the Communist Party gets to do whatever we want to capitalists or whatever, we're going to put them in jail and execute them if we want, whatever. Yeah, but you fucking opened up to the global economy to such a degree that you're actually vulnerable to the stock market fucking bullshit would be best to fucking isolate from. But anyway, there's a lot to get into with that, and I don't want to talk too much. I'm trying to save my voice.
I forgot what I wanted to tell you. Shoot.
Yeah. So I was trying to say, where do we want to go to? What do you guys want to start? There's also, you could talk about the yen crisis. You know, you heard about the yen. The U.S. did an intervention to save the yen, but it's not working. So, and U.S. removed Syria from the terror sponsor list.
Say the last part. Say the last part.
The U.S. has removed Syria from the terror sponsor list, which is actually kind of a wrinkle for Israel because, although that's what people are making it out to be, I guess Israel doesn't, at the end of the day, never really cares. It does what it wants. So, but it looks bad now for Israel to be doing occupying of Syria when it's not considered when America is declaring it's not a terrorist threat and opening up to it and everything. So. Why don't we start with this Putin airplane stuff, if you guys, unless we're waiting for the audience to weigh in.
So everybody it's funny because everybody in the comments they're still want to go full ham on this guillotine. It's a lot of discussion about what's the correct vehicle to put it in and where you can get one. I think we're ready for a revolution around here.
Yeah, we might want to stock up on those. I'm not gonna really. I got some insider trading on that one. We'll put it that way. Yeah, little secrets.
Get your guillotines here, 2 for the price of 1. Do you have something you want to send me?
Yeah, sorry. I forgot that I should.
Yeah, you're supposed to send it.
I was just gonna call it up like I usually do, but I'm gonna send it to you here. So, we'll only take a moment. Here we go.
So this is a good point, Sean. So what if you brought a wood chipper to the Capitol?
That's what I was looking at.
Technically, that's not a weapon.
The comments were kind of funny at the end of that article because people were making that exact point. Like, if a guillotine is considered a weapon, so is a knife, so is a hammer, so is a baseball bat.
Yeah. But a wood chipper makes a really good point. Everybody understands what that means.
Or chainsaws.
Well, chainsaws, you could be cutting fraud. Chainsaw. What a dork that Elon Musk is.
Okay, so I put the article in the private chat there.
I don't see anything yet.
It didn't come up in the private chat?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay, weird. Send it again.
Oh, wait, is it TWZ?
TWZ.com, yeah.
It just didn't light up for some reason. But it's there.
There we go.
Okay. All right, now I have to share.
That's funny, John, whatever. Just before, I was trying to comment on, that's another thing that's happened. There's a lot of people, there's been a letter from the Guardian that's been outrageous, trying to mock, whatever, like trying to talk about the political prisoners in Iran as if they're like, they really need to be freed. So it's like a pro-imperialist, supposedly leftist kind of thing. And so there's a lot of responses to it in the independent media. And I was in a chat, what was that? Millennials Are Killing Capitalism channel. I like those guys. I'm still trying to figure out a little bit kind of where they come from and stuff. But also the guy that Jared Ball was the guy he was on with him. He's like a professor who talks about like black capitalism and stuff. I would like to maybe, since I'm bringing it up or whatever, we should cover that one day. I think you could benefit kind of from his analysis or research, or maybe you let me know. So we'll have to cover that one day.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And they called you a what? They called you a troll?
I just went in there because the first comment I was saying, because they're they're doing online responses to a written letter in the Guardian about because they're attacking. They're like academia's putting their foot in it, and they're wanting to stick that foot in academia's mouth, right? So, a lot of these people there. My opening comment was a bit critical. I was saying, what is this? A strongly worded response to a strongly worded letter? And it's like, no. And then, like, they did satisfy my.
That was pretty funny though.
But she's all like, if you don't like what you're watching, you could just leave. I'm like, that's a good thing to say to someone for their first time commenter or whatever. Get the fuck out. It's not if you're gonna first time comment, maybe positive message instead of a critical one. But I ain't about that toxic positivity.
Oh, I got to show you something then after this. Then, that is hilarious what you just said, and it just made me think of this man was on CNN, I think, and they were asking him about DSA, and his response was hilarious. So I don't know. You want me to do it now, or
if it's relevant news? If
it's relevant to what you're saying,
before or after whatever. Go ahead. Yeah, might be best to do it if it's quick. Just sorry to postpone the news, the other news. But also, I don't know. From what if that's the Renee, I think it is. She's often been like one of these vocal supporters of the Green Party. We're not gonna get along, so it's like I'm not one of them, right? So, but I'm happy to hear from other points of view.
Oh, the lady who it's a lady in this whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to send you the channel. There's a couple of channels. They seem to be kind of part of this. Not like some of the anti-imperialist networks of channels. A lot of them kind of work together and whatnot, and so, but then they kind of turn into factions. Like this Jared Ball and this millennials are killing capitalism. This group, I've been following them. I think it's Black Liberation Media, if I'm not mistaken, is the other channel that Mr. Ball is from. But they were. I was originally not really paying too much attention to them because I was sided with the Revolutionary Blackout, which was like critical of them. They had like a falling out over the Fred Hampton name rights and stuff like that way back when. And so I've just been trying to kind of keep track of, especially after we had a falling out with RBN. I was like, maybe I should listen to these people that RBN was shit talking with new ears, considering I dismissed them because Nick did and whatever. And the rest of them. So anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing about them.
Yeah, John says it's the Black Liberation Media. So check out those channels if you guys haven't heard of them. Make up your own mind if you appreciate what their content. We all have our own nuances, our differences of opinion. Anyway, you got you're calling something up or?
Yeah, but it's getting a little hard to find it, so I'm going to. I'll just do this first because I gotta look for it. It is hilarious, though. I wish I could find it. Okay, so here we go.
All right, well, we'll put a pin in it then, I guess.
USAF C-17 makes extremely rare visit to Moscow. And this has been updated as of August 25th. The C-17 flew to the Russian capital from a base just outside Washington, D.C., with a stop in Riga, Latvia. Is that big enough? U.S. Air Force has made a highly unusual visit. I'm sorry, I should probably do this. To Moscow, landing at Nukovo Airport after flying from Riga, Latvia, according to publicly available flight tracking data. The purpose of the flight remains unclear for now. It does come as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says he has identified a potential opportunity for new U.S. mediation to help end the Russian war in Ukraine. Flight tracking data identified the C-17 operating under the call sign, deporting RCH 4555. Sorry, deporting Riga at approximately 8. Yeah. Anyway, that's not even that important. I'll go down. Oh, that's it?
There's a whole lot down. It's not like that's basically I got a couple other articles. But this one's just kind of a confirmation. Yeah, it's
like a confirmation that this actually happened.
like this is like evidence, like heavier
I
kind of
see.
source material, right? So it's.
I see.
I'll put some other links, follow up stories, in the private chat, so you can carry on.
Yeah, this is just I don't think it's any. No, maybe I can read this part. No, it's just telling you where the plane was going.
It's just confirming that it's like a little. It's coming from a place that's associated with the CIA, basically. If you know how to kind of read what it's saying.
The C-17 is otherwise well equipped for carrying high-ranking officials on overseas trips, including into potential hostile areas. The planes have a defense suite that includes multiple types of expendable decoys and the laser-based large aircraft infrared countermeasure system. The Globemaster, which is C-17's primary mission, is as a strategic airlifter and is typically used for transporting personnel, equipment, and other cargo. With those capabilities, the aircraft are also regularly used to bring advanced parties to countries ahead of major state and other diplomatic visits. So, yeah. The presence of an active duty U.S. military transport aircraft in the Russian capital is highly unusual and immediately attracted attention from open source intelligence and aviation observers. Here's some theories right here from Mark Urban. Theories on today's highly. Oh, what did I just do? Okay. Theories on today's highly unusual movement of a U.S. military aircraft to Moscow airport. 1. Prisoner swap. 2. Mission by senior intelligence official to warn against escalation by Russia. Example in the Baltics. 3. New diplomatic openings. So you guys be the judge.
I'm thinking my little theory is that whatever they're coordinating some kind of action against the UK. There's this thing with the Dugan, the Eurasianists that article that I wrote. Some of what I kind of learned is this like Larouchian conspiracy theorist, whatever mentality about like the Atlanticists versus the Eurasianists. Like the 1984 whatever war against Oceania, like that kind of like mentality. There seems to be, if we try and use that as a way to analyze their actions, then we're seeing a kind of the American like the Monroe Doctrine appears to be hostile to the old Atlantic order that has been the Bretton Woods system, the white supremacist whatever underpinning of the global capitalist order so far. And for America to side with the Eurasianists over the Atlanticists would be quite unprecedented, but they seem to have trying to be putting the UK's balls in a vice because maybe the UK has, and Canada, we've got some kind of leverage if we're whatever working with the Chinese in such a kind of way. So that's where I'm saying to China, by the way, be fucking very careful with Russia. I don't really trust this Eurasianist fascism that I'm seeing. But they'll call me a liberal for it. Whatever. Sorry. I'm done.
That's okay. Looks like Saturday it flew, right?
Or Monday, maybe.
This says Saturday right here.
Okay.
On trail Avenue. Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Do it. You know, Jacqueline set her hair on fire.
Smoking her ciggies.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy work.
Take it easy, Jack. Don't worry.
Why were you asking Rondo? I'm curious.
It's one of the more horrific realizations. Oh my God, I am actually on fire. Shit.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I could find this video. I should have saved it when I saw it. Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay, you have something else you want to share?
Okay. Well, I put a couple things in the chat there. If you want to just kind of cap off that story a bit.
The red dot is not coming on.
Okay, but there's just so the TWZ was the article we just looked at. Then there's a Pravda, Ukraine.
I see them. It's just that I didn't know because I'm not getting alerted.
Oh, you're not getting the little notification that tells you there's a new message coming up. Right?
No, not. It was working earlier, so I don't know why I just stopped working.
I'll have to make sure I let you know then that I put something in the chat. So
yeah, please, because I was just chilling, waiting on you.
My bad. I think there's a nice little chain. We just read these stories. There's a nice little chain of news that kind of comes out of it just by reading them all together, because it ends out with, why would the U.S. send a CIA chief to Russia? Why would Russia be critical of the U.K.? And why would the U.S. threaten the U.K. with a trade war? Why is the U.K. doing sanctions on Israel? There's a whole lot of news there to cover. So we might as well just read out the whole, follow the breadcrumbs.
What is Kitty saying right there?
RBN chat I was just going to say, there's plenty to criticize about China. People would let you, right? But the tactical thing would be to pick your time when to do it, basically, because we don't want to be, the more that you criticize China while the U.S. and imperialists are doing it, the more it looks like and actually does potentially serve imperialist interests. I don't think it helps. It's not very dialectical or whatever, not very Marxist-Leninist or whatever. It's not very strategic to blind ourselves so that we can help China, whatever, by telling everyone that their shit smells like roses all the time, whatever.
What is it showing you? What is going on? Oh, okay. I just pressed the X here.
Okay.
There we go. Ukrainian officials reportedly confirmed that Washington asked Ukraine not to attack Moscow in St. Petersburg during a CIA chief's visit. That's from August 25th. I can't move this thing on the side. Oh, yes, I can. Here we go. Washington asked Kiev to suspend attacks on Moscow and St. Petersburg during CIA Director John Ratcliffe's reported visit to Russia. Okay, citing a source, and the source is Suspilny. How do you pronounce that?
Suspilny? I don't know.
Okay, so CBS was the first to report Ratcliffe's visit. Reports of his visit emerged after a U.S. Air Force Boeing C-17. I thought it was F. Globemaster 3 transport plane and a U.S. diplomatic motorcade were spotted at a Moscow airport. The last time a CIA director visited Russia in person was in November 2021, when William Burns traveled to Moscow to warn the Kremlin at the highest level that the U.S. was aware of its preparations for a large-scale invasion of Ukraine. Okay. Thanks. And we know what you're about to do. Okay,
so just another short one. Not really much more to it, but it's kind of a relevant detail. So, because the next article is like Russia tried to deny that, or I don't know if that's the next one, but maybe I don't know if I missed sending it to you, but there's no Putin-Ratcliffe meeting from Times of India. I don't think I did send that one. I'm going to send it to you now.
No, you didn't send it.
Yeah, because they did the typical walk back. They said no, there was no CIA chief meeting with Putin. We can neither confirm nor deny, but they did confirm that there was a security meeting with intelligence officials. So they basically confirmed it, but while denying it.
Right.
And then Ukraine confirmed, like, if you're trying to, so did he really visit? Well, they told Ukraine not to fucking bomb Moscow for make sure that he didn't fucking kill the American or whatever. So that kind of suggests it confirms it. Anyway, let's carry on. And then this is Canadian CBC News. This is our state propaganda. Confirms it. So it's not like they're really trying to hide it, but they're just, Russia, I don't know, maybe felt the need domestically to have a different narrative. So.
Oh, am I playing this? Because if I'm playing it, I have to leave out and come back in.
I'm not sure if you want to. It's 8 minutes. It's up to you. If you need to play the whole thing or what. Oh, are you muted?
Great.
Or? Oh, there we go.
I wasn't trying to press play. Because you're not going to be able to hear it if you want me to play it.
Oh. Well, we could just read it. There's only a small blurb to read, so if you,
okay.
you want to just call this up and move on, or I guess play the video is the decision. So.
I mean, the video is 8 minutes long. The Kremlin says Vladimir Putin did not meet CIA Director John Ratcliffe during the surprise Moscow visit, but admits intelligence contacts took place. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov denied reports that Ratcliffe met the Russian president, saying no meeting was planned. However, Moscow confirmed discussions between Russian and U.S. Secretary Services while refusing to reveal details. The visit came amid reports that Washington asked Ukraine to pause strikes on Moscow and St. Petersburg during Ratcliffe's trip.
Does this also suggest they don't really trust their own encryption technology and whatnot, that they can't just have a private phone call that is going to be hacked by Israel or Ukraine or some shit?
You got to fly all the way. But, I mean, the room that you're talking in could be hacked. I mean, it could be
bugged, I suppose.
Bugged, hacked. Yep. Okay, here we go. Putin tells Britain to reverse hostile line on Ukraine or Russia could hit UK military targets.
So I'm not saying that Russia has taken orders from the U.S., but at the very least, that does appear to be that some kind of deal was made, that he's doing something that America wants for now, maybe because it's in Russia's interest too. Not to say that Russia's cucked by America, much far more likely the other way around, right? But not even. I think that's the Democratic, whatever, Russiagate narrative too, to say Trump is just an operative of Putin, right? So it's like, but Russia is capitalist. Let's not. The question would be: is Russia imperialist? I'd say if the Eurasianists are like really calling the shots, then they do fit the fucking description of an imperialist to me. So, but their actions. China, yes, but their actions in support of China make it confusing for me to determine whether like how imperialist or not are they. It's like they've confounded the issue on purpose for I guess operational freedom. You know, they have more freedom to work in the shadows when you can't tell like what their true nature is. I guess you might say.
Why are you saying you think they're imperialists?
Because my research on Eurasianism, I'm going to have to do more to make the case. But there's this far right in power after the collapse of the Soviet Union. There was these Eurasianists in Europe that were plotting the downfall of the Soviet Union. They'd gotten what they wanted, and they did participate in the looting of Russia when it was reopened to the shock therapy of opening it up back to capitalism. And then but they have grander kind of fascist like aims about like this historical Eastern European territory that they consider to be theirs that just so happens to belong to a whole bunch of other nations right now, Ukraine included. So
Yeah, we're gonna have to put a pin in that one then.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of it's this Duganist sort of
When you,
stuff. Right? So the Russian far right, there are such a thing as Russian Nazis, right? We'll have to put a pin on that. Yeah.
Of course, there's such a thing as Russian Nazis. Hi, CBC. Okay, so should I read this?
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin. Excuse me.
Oh, hey, Willie Bragg, what's up? Sorry.
Oh, hi, Willie Bragg TV. Vladimir Putin was told the UK has told the UK to reverse its hostile and aggressive stance on Ukraine, or Russia could attack British military sites. The chilling warning comes after Prime Minister Andy Burnham was told earlier this week Britain could face Russian retaliation over its unwavering support for Ukraine and to be prepared for a direct response from Moscow. A spokesperson, why are you doing so? Spokesperson for Russia's foreign ministry, they clarified that catastrophic consequences for the it is not abandon their current position. It is not to target British military installations. I believe Iran has also threatened to target the UK. If I'm not mistaken. That happened the other day.
I missed that.
I'll put a pin on it and come back to it. Or you want to look at it while I'm reading?
Yeah. But speaking of, since you bring up Iran, I also Iran's signed a bit of or claims that they've reached an agreement with Oman for opening a corridor through the Strait of Hormuz, and that the ball is in Trump's court again. So that's another thing we can cover if we got time to get to it. But yeah, what were you saying about Iran threatening UK to look up?
Yeah. Can you look that up and make sure I'm not having a false memory? Okay, on Monday, Burnham swapped blueprints for the long-range Scout missile with Moscow's enemy in a visit to Kiev, and that would allow Ukraine to build their own weapons rather than rely on imports. Maria Zakharova, Moscow's most prominent woman diplomat, that's a weird, whatever. She's a spokeswoman for Vladimir Putin's foreign ministry, said any British military installations and equipment in Ukraine and beyond could be the response to Ukrainian strikes using British weapons on Russian territory. Those guilty of war crimes, including against the civilian population of our country, will be punished according to their actions. Inevitable punishment awaits their accomplices and instigators, and we call on all residents of the United Kingdom to consider the inevitable catastrophic consequences of their own government's hostile actions. We urge the British leadership to once again thoroughly analyze the situation and immediately, decisively, and unequivocally abandon their hostile and aggressive stance.
It's just funny because this appears to be precipitated by Mr. Andy Burnham's threat to Israel. So this Russian anger about their aggressive stance on Ukraine can be seen as reading, if you want to think about the 4D chess that gets played, this is the great game of imperialism, folks. It's what it's all about. Like, that's how it is. Okay. So there is potentially a bit of both, where like Russia doesn't appreciate the UK trying to get away with shit in Ukraine, and it's got a kind of green light to go target the UK by the US specifically. And Russia's not exactly as anti-Zionist as we might hope or believe. And so it's killing of two birds with one stone. You know, the UK thinks that they're going to maybe abandon the Zionist project. Russia is going to be the one to call them back in on the favor the Americans. What do they get from the Americans? Like, that's where I'm trying to, maybe this is my theory. This is speculation for sure. I'm not, don't be acting like I'm telling, I got the goods, guys. Or, no, I don't know, just like the rest of us, but I'm making an educated guess. So.
This must be the most prominent woman. Most prominent woman diplomat. Okay. And that's it. Nope, there's more.
I usually see more flattering pictures of her than that. She's probably she's got a stressful job, that woman, but she's like Russia's like top cougar.
Zakharova further said that France and Britain were playing with fire by supplying sensitive missile technology to Ukraine, a move she warned could have unpredictable consequences for Paris and London. So now France is in the mix too, huh? But the UK announced on Monday it would allow Kiev access to classified technology to start its own production of Storm Shadow long-range cruise missiles capable of carrying out strikes deep within Russia. France has already given its assent to license the technology for the European missile. In exchange for the missile blueprints, Britain received what officials described as a gold mine of battlefield intelligence designed to strengthen UK security. After Burnham's visit in Kiev, Moscow accused the UK of participating in its war with Ukraine and warned then that they would identify the production sites of such missiles, the production sites of other military equipment, in order to destroy them. As such, UK security chiefs have been primed for a Kremlin attack on Britain. And major UK defense manufacturers are believed to be stepping up their physical security and adopting measures to prevent cyber attacks. Putin's warning comes a day after CIA Director John Ratcliffe made a surprise trip to Moscow, where he issued a warning to the Kremlin not to escalate the conflict in Ukraine, either by using a nuclear weapon or targeting Kiev's Western allies. The just don't do it advice was based on U.S. intelligence that Russia is primed to attack immediately and dramatically after its campaign on the battlefield stalled again. American officials have suggested that Moscow could attempt to seize NATO territory in a small-scale incursion to test the alliance in a worst-case scenario prediction based on U.S. intelligence, per the Wall Street Journal. The White House nor the CIA have clarified the reasons of Ratcliffe's trip. However, the Kremlin this morning dismissed media speculation on the rare visit of the spy chief. A lot of such scare stories are being published right now. Of course, they have nothing to do with reality. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov added that Russia is facing a very aggressive policy towards itself from European countries.
Well, I wouldn't rely too much on letting the Kremlin tell you what reality is.
Okay, let me see. What is this we have here? Putin's war with Europe. Okay. So he's going to ramp up cyber attacks in the UK. Says sabotage what? What is this right here?
The other part of this story is I didn't share. There's a Reuters article. Ukraine Zelensky sees window for U.S. mediation until summer 2027. So basically, they're trying to say the window of opportunity for a peace settlement is closing because the U.S. elections are approaching. And so that's kind of like seems like maybe a bit of a hint to that Ukraine's like saying to Russia and the U.S., like to everyone involved in this, whatever, like if we're gonna make a deal. We've got a year. We've got like now's the time to make a deal or whatever. Otherwise,
Oh well, I thought I forget his name, but he went on record saying they are willing to wait this out as long as it takes, and they wanted to hurt the U.S. economically. So there will be no deal or something like that.
yeah. Don't put it past Ukraine to try and pull off what Israel's managed to do with the U.S., which is to have an outsized influence compared to its.
I was talking about Iran.
Oh, I was saying with okay, yeah. Sorry, what you're saying?
I thought you were talking about Iran just now.
No, I was saying with Ukraine, Zelensky is sending a message that there's the chance for a deal is now.
Oh, I got confused. Okay.
Iran's doing the same thing, really. I mean, that they did that's where we could go to that story next if you like, or about Iran and Oman have made an agreement, and it's up to. They're saying it's like a non-starter, like a lot of the Palestinian agreements, where they're saying if the U.S. ends its blockade and adheres to a previous ceasefire that it's already violated, then we can have a deal. And it's like the U.S. isn't going to end its blockade without getting more than that. Unless we'll see. I don't know. I doubt it will.
There's a running. Tell me what you think about this guess on what's going on with the United States right now. Let me pull up a world map. Okay, so like with Venezuela. Oh, you told me to go on Google Maps. See, you always tell me to do that, Google Maps. So with what's going on with Venezuela, how this huge interest in Greenland, the Cuba. I'm wondering if the real interest is in securing all the straits around the globe, like securing the supply, transportation, all the choke points. Yeah. What you think about that?
That's a good theory.
I wonder what y'all think about that in the chat.
That's at least a big part of it. I'm just wondering. Well, maybe like if we read about with the China article at the end, what is China actually doing? You can kind of answer a little bit of that.
Jacqueline's taking us to task. Everybody knows the Daily Mail is a.
Well, I don't know as much about you do about the UK outlets, so yeah, I appreciate the background. That's the thing
you
with
don't
all
know about the Daily Mail.
Of these are. We're reading CNN. We're reading Reuters. We're South China Morning Post, GB News. I feel like the Great Britain News is probably fucking like right wing slop too. We're just trying to piece together kind of like what are the headlines in the mainstream media for August 27th, whatever 2026 sort of thing. Like
when you think Daily Mail, think Ben Shapiro. That's what I think when I think Daily Mail. Think Turning Point USA. Okay.
It is frustrating trying to read the news these days. There's only so much reading just like anti-imperialist or like socialist websites is going to. It'll tell you a socialist perspective. They're not necessarily going to tell you everything about what's going on.
Yeah, let me see if I can make this a little smaller. I guess that's about what.
Here's a story you probably missed. Is Barron Trump gone missing? I saw a little video had come up, something about like, did Trump get mailed Barron Trump's fingers? I didn't click on it. thought it was clickbait, but
So I'm looking. They also want to put a military base here too, on Greenland. They want to drop a military. I was just looking at the chokehold, like where we're the places that we're aggravating right now, and like the purposes of it.
yeah,
'Cause
there's
I
some
think-
Arctic sea routes that are definitely we should be looking at more. We'll try and do some, see if there's any news there.
I know they definitely want to put a military base on Greenland.
There was some video I'd watched that, like, not just the Strait of Hormuz, but there's like 7 international choke points that are under like a lot of stress right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with Venezuela, I think they're trying to get
there's the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal,
Canal.
and then there's the Malacca Straits and the Strait of Hormuz.
I don't know what their end game is with Cuba, though.
And the Strait of Gibraltar.
Mm-hmm. And it was something else. I can't find. I gotta find where I was reading that.
And maybe part of why Argentina is that's as far as the choke point theory. Argentina's maybe very important whether they like it or not because of this, where its specific position on the trade routes. That's a choke point right there, that tip of South America. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so about Barron. Okay, I was watching. So, Savvy Savs is like. Savvy Savs had an episode where she was talking about Barron, that the Iran put a bounty on Barron's head for $10 million.
Right.
And like she's playing like CNN, and I think it was Panetta. That was the guest, the CIA dude, Panetta. And I'm like, she's talking about it like she's taking it super seriously. And I'm like, really? Leon Panetta? The CIA agent that has been known to feed us propaganda slop? Like, no one from Iran can even get over here. If they say they did something to him, first of all, you can't get near him. And then how are you going to get out? When you, like, it makes no sense. And she's reporting it like it is a huge deal. Like Iran really said that, and it wasn't something they just made up. No consideration for the fact that, hey, well, Andrew Tate has basically said that if you don't save me from extradition, save me and my brother from extradition to the UK, I'm gonna start singing like a songbird. He basically said that.
Oh yeah.
And Andrew Tate and Barron are like friends.
Well, as far as this stuff,
it's transactional.
It's interesting as far as what we're talking about with the UK, with the pressure and the secret spy visit, and actually how we were talking about at the beginning with the children of the spies. Who the fuck is Andrew Tate? Yet another child, whatever, next generation spy. His father was the same thing. That's what I'm trying to say.
And Andrew Tate, yeah, his father was a CIA.
Exactly.
But I mean, so I just think.
I think the CIA is right now, maybe. Hey?
I think not putting two and two together where, hey, maybe they're trying to distract from the fact that Andrew Tate just kind of basically made a claim that he has information that would sink the Trump family if you don't do this thing for me, and like it's a distraction from that. And since we're at it, we might as well kill two birds with one stone and blame it on Iran.
Yeah, it always works.
Boom,
Whatever.
boom.
Blame it all on Iran. It never fails. Except
Like I feel like this is obvious, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Saying Sabby's working with TYT, that's funny. Yeah. If she's not obvious enough, TYT is NATO, guys. Nick Cruz, who was very critical of the NATO left. Eyes open.
Is she really working with TYT?
I don't know. I just see Sean saying that. In the
Oh,
comments.
he's being silly.
I hope that wouldn't exactly surprise me. Is also what I'm saying. It wouldn't, probably a lot of people, whatever, but I don't trust him no more. So
Yeah, it was a proper propaganda video, I believe. But Abby, you make a great point.
Salvati,
That's right. We talked about that.
Salvati sounds Italian.
Somebody who found that
the investigation soon.
who found that awesome article, that Substack article about her husband. We read it on here before.
Yeah, it was a great article.
It was a great article, but I don't know how.
Shout out to Uncle Warren. I believe it was
us.
Uncle Warren who find him at the Undercurrent with Lainey Peterson, or Extra Bulla is his channel. He does. Yeah.
Oh, Sean said he found it. Dr. Nick showed it to him.
My bad. I might have then shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean. Thank you.
You guys are both solid.
Thank you very much, because that was like a eye opener. Because I kept looking for stuff like, I'm like, why does she keep her husband so well hidden?
Right to privacy.
Maybe he doesn't like to be involved and what have you. And now I'm like, wait a minute, you're benefiting from the war in Israel, technically. That's crazy.
They just, in case you're not being critical enough of RBN, all you have to do is start to analyze where they're making contradictions, and they become clear. If Macy's saying she was propping Mamdani the last time I saw a Savvy clip, they've also done lots of attacks on Mamdani. So the more that you, speak out of both sides of your mouth, the less credible you appear. And so they've done a lot of claims. We got to be like Marxist-Leninist, support the ACP. But then they also try to prop up the Green Party and the Social Democrats with Mamdani. You are not the vanguard when you are sitting there trying to, you're obviously ideologically confused. You don't know who to back. You're telling everyone you're chasing 3 rabbits at once. You're going to lose all of them. Anyway.
So Rondo's asking, and I just saw it. I just saw the Substack. I was going to pull it up. Dang it.
Well, we did cover it as far as people want to check our archive of content. It's in there somewhere.
Rondo was asking, isn't she? Here it is.
Okay, there we go. Oh, that's another news today. I didn't bring it, but hey, what's up, Snow Himbo? Apparently, Trump's decided to rename Lake Ontario is now Lake America. And he's even gone so far. I saw another headline. Let's rename the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans while we're at it. Sounds like a fucking guy who's lost his mind. Yeah.
So this is for Rondo. Okay. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. It's a really good read. We've read it before. Put in the chat. Nice no himbo.
I would imagine, I do believe he is aware that Canada is in North America, but you never know with these guys.
I think I found this before, but this wasn't really much.
Yeah,
this doesn't tell anything. It just tells how. Oh, I'm not showing you. I'm crazy. Okay.
That it's just a glitchy thing.
My bad.
Oh, we have to do this. That's what it is.
Ah, okay. Let me go back to this one. So this one is this is as much as I found, but it's basically saying she keeps her relationship private and not much is known about her husband. Blah 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 blah. But actually, we do know because Miss Samantha Hull. Nice work, Samantha. This was put out actually before that other article. That other article was put out in 2026. And I wonder if it was, you know how they'll try to put out articles to push your article, suppress your article. So I wonder if that article and some others were made after this to suppress Miss Hall's work. You never know. She's positioned, so Savvy Sav's self-branded voice of the anti-imperialist left has built a platform critiquing, I was about to say criticizing again, critiquing war, corporate power, and U.S. foreign policy. She's positioned herself as an advocate for justice, often denouncing both major parties and pushing for revolutionary alternatives. Her revolutionary alternative is, I want Thomas Massey to run for president. And Ro Khanna.
Did she say Ro Khanna run for president?
Thomas Massey, like a Thomas Massey Ro Khanna ticket.
Savvy said that recently. My voice
it's been a while, but it was like because of all the.
But she actually said that. That's like, come on. And you also claim to be anti-imperialist. Come on.
But like many prominent media figures on the left, her silence in certain areas speak louder than her slogans. Okay, she's married to Greg Salvati. This, a lead engineer at GE Aerospace. This is not just a job in some neutral industry. GE Aerospace, formerly known as GE Aviation, is a longtime military contractor with deep ties to the Israeli war machine. This company has provided engines for Israeli F-16s and Apache helicopters, participated in U.S. foreign military sales programs to Israel, and formed a joint venture with Israel Aerospace Industries to provide long-term engine and airframe maintenance. In 2024, GEO Aerospace announced a deal with El Al Israel Airlines for 20 new LEAP 1B engines, strengthening its business relationship with Israel's aviation and defense infrastructure.
You want to say goodnight to Jacqueline?
Good night, Jacqueline.
Have a good night, Jacqueline.
Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Have a good weekend, too, because it's Thursday. So we'll see you next week. If you don't come back, which you often do. So have a good night, though. Hope you actually get some sleep.
So it would be one thing if this connection were publicly acknowledged and reckoned with. It hasn't been, despite the strong.
Cobra 2. Sorry, Cobra 2. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye, Cobra. We're almost done here, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of went on a you went on a tangent. We still got. I mean, I wanted to get to the article.
Okay, can you send it? Can you send it to me?
I put them in the private chat. It's just not the thing.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Let me just finish reading this really quickly for Rhonda.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be one thing if this connection were publicly acknowledged and reckoned with. It hasn't been, despite her strong public messaging against imperialism and military violence. Savvy has not once mentioned that her own husband benefits from a corporation that powers the very warplanes bombing Gaza. This isn't about guilt by association. It's about the difference between survival and silence. There are plenty of people who work in war-related industries because they have no other choice. But Savvy's husband is a lead engineer, someone with valuable skills who had options. Engineering work is not retail. These positions are chosen. The same is true for countless Green Party members who work at Raytheon, Lockheed, and other weapons contractors. We understand that people need to survive, but we also need to be honest. There are not passive These are not passive roles. These are jobs that build the bombs, maintain the drones, and keep the gears of the empire running. You're participating in that system at a high level, and you choose to keep silent about it. You're not surviving, you're enabling. And when someone with that proximity to military power then presents themselves as a voice of anti-imperialist integrity, we have to ask, why are the lines so blurry? Why does the condemnation stop where personal comfort begins? This is part of a larger problem. Many media personalities on the populist or leftist spectrum love to denounce Democrats, but rarely go as far to condemn the entire party structure. Savvy, to her credit, has often gone farther. She has said the Democratic Party is undemocratic and beyond reform. She has critiqued Bernie Sanders, AOC, and others for propping up a broken system. She has made strong arguments about corruption, false hope, and how the left is continuously sold out. But that makes the silence around her husband's military industry ties even more glaring. You can't rail against the military industrial complex in your live stream and then cash a check from the company fueling apartheid and never speak of it. As the movement for Palestinian liberation grows and as more people wake up to the violent foundations of our economy, we cannot allow ourselves to ignore these contradictions. Being anti-imperialist means taking risks, losing comfort, and confronting power, even when it's close to home. No one is perfect, but if we want to build a politics that truly opposes empire, we have to tell the whole truth. That includes the parts that make us uncomfortable. That includes the choices we've made, the jobs we've taken, and the systems we continue to benefit from. So there we go.
Definitely worth a reread. That was
It was.
Like talking about RBN all the time, it kind of makes us look like jealous almost or something or whatever. But it for those who don't know, if you're just kind of tuning in if you're a new subscriber and you haven't seen a lot of our past work, we got into this broadcasting originally tried to work with the Revolutionary Blackout Network, of which Sabrina Salvati is a prominent member of that supposedly, apparently anti-imperialist independent media YouTube channel and whatnot. So I feel we have to make our points clear, whatever. We tried to work with them and now we're not with them. And this is why.
And technically, we didn't pull this up because we're like, because we're jealous or whatever. Someone asked in the comments.
Exactly. No, I'm just, as far as we do tend to if the conversation comes around to it, we do like to a bit of our favorite kicking boy kind of thing, whatever, favorite punching bag, but it's born out of betrayal, and we're not necessarily the only ones being betrayed here. Actually, before this one, there is this is confirming what you're getting at, but there was just one more in series about the Russian spy, the CIA Russia.
Is it CNN?
It was the daily, where is it now? Did I not? Maybe I didn't share this one either. My bad. gbnews.com. Burnham anti-Israel sanctions.
Yeah, I don't see that in here.
Yeah, my bad. Okay, so here we go. It's the latest one. I just put it in now.
Okay. Okie dokie. So let me switch. Let's see what we got here.
So this is
Andy
important.
Burnham.
It's just important to share this last little breadcrumb because of the chain of events as far as the U.S. sends a spy chief to Russia. Russia comes out making aggressive statements against the U.K. What is the U.K. up to that pisses both U.S. and Russia off? Even though we typically think of the UK as a vassal state. And this is potentially the answer here. I feel like this has got to be the answer. You want to go ahead?
So Andy Burnham warned anti-Israel sanctions could spark trade war with Donald Trump. Let me try to make that bigger. I thought I did, but Apparently not big enough.
Because apparently the Labor Party feels that it's been a little too aggressive with its anti-Palestinian behavior, and it seems to feel the need to kowtow to its base for once, when it usually treats its base like it doesn't fucking matter. This is a little interesting.
Andy Burnham has been warned anti-Israel sanctions could risk a trade war with Donald Trump. Alarms have been raised after it was revealed the prime minister is set to announce a robust package of sanctions, which could mount to a de facto boycott of Israel. The prime minister has now been told by Labor MPs that if he pushes ahead with the plan, he may face retaliatory measures from the White House. The president has frequently dished out or threatened tariffs, engaging in a recent trade war with Canada after taxing exports including raw materials, toilet paper, hockey sticks, and cotton t-shirts. Last month, Washington criticized Ireland for passing similar sanctions on Israel, warning of unintended consequences for hundreds of businesses, calling the move unhelpful. And a full trade embargo with Spain has been threatened, which last year banned goods being imported from Israeli settlements, or I should be saying occupied Palestine. I forgot. All right.
Apparently, the Labor Party all of a sudden remembered.
Yeah. So Israeli settlements have made a wider road over the use of the country's military bases. One Labor MP told the Times, "Our trade and diplomatic relationship with the U.S. is fragile enough as it is. We shouldn't be naive enough to believe we could sanction occupied Palestine and not face any economic and political consequences from the White House. Congress or states with anti-BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanction laws."
Typical toady comment from that guy, whoever that was. He's all like, "Oh,
Who was it?
I'm just, I forget
I don't know who said that.
It was a Labor MP that they didn't.
Oh, okay.
So
No name.
One of the Labor MPs trying to signal to the U.S., "Hey, whatever, we don't mean to piss you off. Whatever, we recognize how important you are to us. Whatever." He's trying to, whatever, kiss the ring.
Another admitted there was a significant risk of Washington tariffs being placed on countries banning goods from occupied Palestine settlements. U.S. anti-boycott laws restrict companies and individuals from participating in anti-Israel boycotts not approved or sanctioned by Washington. Ooh, that is the First Amendment for you, ain't it? There's a very big risk of Trump and the Israelis, I should say, and the Eastern Europeans, the Kanazis, I should say that, taking retaliatory measures, separate former labor minister said. Or should I say Kazari? It was Kazari, which is very interesting, by the way. There used to be a gang or something, like a mafia, which makes sense now that you think about it, and all of them converted to Judaism, the entire mafia.
Aryan mafia stuff. That's part of, like, I think I have to do research on that too, but I get the impression there's some right-wing propaganda with that. So there's a lot. And you gotta be critical of the anti-Semitism implicit in some of these stories about, like, Israel and, like, all that stuff, because it's
they're not Semites,
right
so
you
can't be anti-Semitic to someone who's not a Semite. So
that's not the that's a fair enough point, but you get what I'm saying. As far what I mean by the classic anti-Semitism, or whatever, is like the Nazi dog whistles. You got to find out what those are. So yeah.
Okay. Anyway, our ministers need to weigh these risks very carefully before going ahead with gestures that might make their backbenchers and some backbenchers. What is a backbencher? I've never heard that term. Make their backbenchers.
Our ministers need to weigh these risks very carefully before going ahead with gestures that might make their backbenchers So I think the backbenchers are like the people in the party that are not like the prominent, like they're like the coattail riders. They're people that are like the bandwagon riders. They're just in the party for the gains of it. They're not really there to earn the gains. They're just trying to cash in. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. I can look it up real quick. But.
Yeah. Okay. And some voters feel better, so make the backbenchers and some voters feel better, but would not improve the plight of the Palestinians anyway. And that's
So
that one.
It
Go
says
ahead.
a member of the UK Parliament is a legislator who occupies no governmental office and is not a front bench. A member of the House of Commons who is not a party leader. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
The
The
term
Prime
back,
Minister.
yeah, is
Go
derived
ahead.
it's derived from the benches at the back of the British House of Commons, where non-ministerial MPs sit.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much good enough.
Yep. So they're like people who go to court and sit in the courtroom just to watch.
Well, I think they're like the initiates. They're the newly joined. They don't really have enough power, but they're in line. As long as they keep their noses clean and their shoes polished, eventually they'll make their way to a front bench. They'll be trusted with power.
Or polish their shoes, maybe. The Prime Minister wants to take a harder approach to occupy Palestine after it planned to open tenders for 1,200 settler homes in the West Bank, known as E1. Foreign Secretary Ed Miliband has slammed the plan, calling it an unacceptable and destructive act that would endanger the viability of a two-state solution. Oh my God, with this two-state solution.
But
The issue
they're arguing
is
against the Israel's one-state solution in this case. They're saying that Israel's what they're trying to do here with these tenders for the settler homes in the West Bank is a step too far. It's beyond the pale. It puts in danger this two-state solution because Israel's trying to wipe out Palestine. Well, why have you been helping them all this time?
yeah.
Too little, too late.
Well, thanks. 3 years in.
All the military intelligence that you provided so that they could bomb the kids and the women and the buildings and the men in Gaza. Everything in Gaza, you helped them kill. Fuck you, America. Fuck you, UK. But that's any.
Yep. The issue of occupied Palestine has split the party. More than 140 Labor MPs, around a third of the party, have signed a letter in favor of the ban on Israeli settlement goods. Andrew Pakes, the Labor MP for Peterborough, has urged the government to introduce sanctions, saying, if not now, when? Well, okay, thanks. 3 years after the fact.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if they're.
Yeah,
I guess
that's enough.
The Friends of Israel are pissed off. The Zionist faction of the Labor Party is like, this is bullshit, man. How could you do this to us? You fucking genocidal pieces of shit. Shut the fuck up. Go to your own country, if that's what you call it, whatever. What are you doing in the UK? You got friends there, whatever? They're probably scared to go to Israel or whatever. They might not really make it if they go there. They probably prefer the UK. That's the end of that story, pretty much.
Sean says Trump will single-handedly destroy the dollar, just like Adelson wants. I wish Golden Monarch was. I saw this very interesting article about crypto the other day, and well, I don't want to get off topic, but okay, Iran issues horror threat to attack UK and chilling warning to royal family. Okay, so that wasn't a
You were correct.
false. Okay.
This is also, I guess, from the Mirror, probably just like the Daily Post or whatever, Daily Mail.
Mirror.co.uk.
I just
The
Googled it. This is what came up. So yeah.
Okay. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has said UK bases are a legitimate target in an alarming statement that also appears to threaten the royal family. They
Well,
also said they were going to go after companies that are like American companies in the region.
these are some of the most evil people in the world, this royal family. So people really got to not clutch their pearls too much about
Yeah,
it. Oh my God, the horror. The horror
Right.
that these people commit, have been a part of for decades, whatever. Their family has committed atrocities for centuries. These people deserve no quarter, no mercy whatsoever.
Careful, you're being anti.
Anti-monarch, yeah, a little bit like
Careful.
yeah, anti-head of state, because Canada's not a real country because of this fucking asshole, and Canadians are fucking douchebags because they think that they're a real whatever, that they have a real country, whatever, when they don't even want to get to know about how our government works because of this kind of asshole. That's for another stream. I've made my points on that, but we have got to stop being afraid of the monarchy. Their power is quite whatever, illusory. It's actually other people that they rely on that have more power or whatever. It's a complicated thing, really. But without the police, without the fucking douchebags who will do these pro-monarchist, whatever, like old wealth money that's been going, like there's families of people that support the monarchy that propped it up for all this time. So it's not the monarchy really that we need to be fearing. It's the fucking power behind the throne, as it always is. Anyway.
I'm just laughing at the comments. Okay. Their power comes from an extra chromosome.
Hey man, divine right of kings. God said so that these people are better than me. What the fuck am I to? How dare I?
Okay, Iran has issued a chilling. Oh, sorry, gosh. Iran has issued a chilling warning to the royal family and threatened military bases in the UK as it claimed U.S. bombers launched a mission from RAF Fairford. It is not known in the long-range B-1 bomber. It is not known if the long-range B-1 bomber took off from Gloucestershire base and went straight on to its mission against Iran, or whether it stopped off and then launched from a U.S. base in Europe or elsewhere, as they have done before. They just kind of jumped into something else a little bit, right? Although Fairford is
not exactly all that relevant. I mean, they're trying to say,
yeah.
It really matters as if like they still sent the plane from the UK. They're still sending weapons from the UK and everything. Whatever, like they're guilty, but incidentals.
Although Fairford is normally an RAF base, it is mainly a European forward base for the U.S. Air Force, which has its heavy bombers where they're on standby for missions in locations such as the Middle East. But the distinction has been lost on the Tehran regime, which claimed it has widened its targeting list of attacks to the UK, even threatening the royal family and seeking revenge for the UK allowing the US to use British bases for its bombers. It issued a threat titled "Warning to the British Monarchy."
So I guess like the Ayatollah's fair game, but the monarchy's off limits. That's not realistic. But Iran typically is more moral than that. They don't typically stoop this low, but that's part of a lot of the secular criticism of them has been. You can't be too idealistic, too religious in your political decisions, whatever it might cost you, depending on the enemy you're fighting.
So what was immoral about what I just read, in your opinion?
Oh, I'm saying the immorality of being willing to go to the level, to go to the next step of assassinations of high-ranking officials, whatever. Iran's moral
I see.
government has typically been, no, we're too good for that. And a lot of people are like, you got to stop being too good for that. You better start getting more pragmatic, you know, more realpolitik, more neocon.
So, no, you're fine. I mean, aren't they considered part of the? I mean, the government is considered part of the military because the government is who's telling the military what to do. So, I don't see any immorality in that.
I mean, it's the same thing. Same thing with the targeting of Barron Trump. Like we said, Iran wouldn't do that. A lot of the people in the anti-imperialist media would say, "You guys are foolish to believe that American propaganda." Whatever. There's no like. It's a little bit strange at this point that Iran is still being so moral. But it's apparently it's strategic. In their opinion, it's strategic to have the moral high ground, but America's tactic has been to render the moral high ground obsolete in some. I'm not sure if they've accomplished that, but they have appear very successful in doing so.
I think they're trying to stay with the moral high ground also because they're like I said earlier, it's a long game for them. They want to hurt America economically. So anyway, this is how it reads. We warn the British monarchy, which is the main cause of misfortunes of the people of our region, and has a dark record of dividing Islamic countries, widespread massacres, imposing authoritarian governments, and worst of all, organizing and leading the occupation of Palestine and the creation of the Israeli Nakba, and has participated most in the aggressions of the United States and the Zionist regime against Iran, not to burden its case any further. So in March, then Prime Minister Keir Starmer allowed RAF Fairford, to be used by the USAF for defensive strikes against Iranian forces, but he stood up to the U.S., refusing to involve British forces in President Donald Trump's war on Iran. So that base is fair game then. Why is that base not fair game?
Yeah, you don't get to let somebody take pot shots out of your window, and just because you're afraid to go up the window and shoot a few rounds off yourself doesn't mean that the people outside aren't gonna fucking go after you.
Can't shoot back, yeah. We understand PM Andy Burnham was notified of last week's decision to extend the contentious existing agreement for the U.S. to use a UK basis to defend the Middle East region. An anti-war protest was held at RAF Fairford in April. The UK government told the Daily Mirror on Thursday, for optional security reasons, we do not comment on foreign nations' military operations. Yeah, I guess he's like, I don't want to say, I'm not saying shit.
Yeah, I don't know if there's more to that story. So, like they probably wrote more, but that was it. That's pretty much okay. Good.
That's it. I'm going to this next one. So let's get the latest on what's going on in Iran now. Should I play this?
Yeah, it's a 10-minute video, and there's just a couple headlines. It's not really a big long. Unless I'm mistaken, it's just like a latest news kind of update thing. Yeah, there's other stories.
Yeah, but I've been talking a lot, so let me.
Yeah, just go ahead and play myself. And then I was maybe we should probably just try and wrap up. We'll just try and get to that China, the Substack kind of article. So what is China actually doing?
If you know luxury, it's not just award-winning; it's rewarding. Sattva mattresses support all types of sleepers with durable steel
mattress
and plush organic cotton. Sattva luxury mattresses.
And I don't see the volume right here.
These garbage like CNN whatever websites. We apologize. They've rigged it so that we're forced to watch this. They must have some revenue.
Unless I pay.
Troubles, pressures.
expert Kareem Sajapur. Kareem, welcome back to the program. It's been a while. Great to have you on. I want to pick up on what we heard yesterday from Scott Bessent, because Suzanne Maloney, somebody who I know you respect and know well, another Iran scholar, posted this shortly after his announcement. She said, predictably, Scott Bessent's economic D-Day rollout is all hype. The emperor has no clothes, and the Trump administration has no actionable plan to undo the immense damage to U.S. national security interests and those of our Gulf partners from Trump's disastrous Iran war. What did you make of his comments? Do you agree with Suzanne's rather blistering assessment?
Bianna, when I speak to colleagues in the Treasury Department, what they see is the beginning of a process to really try to subject Iran to enormous economic pressure in order to bring it to the table and force it into compromise. Now, that strategy is not without precedent. On the only two occasions that Iran has agreed to meaningful compromise from 1979 to the present, it was in 1988 and in 2015. So, end the Iran-Iraq War in 1988 and the 2015 Obama nuclear deal. And in both occasions, it was when the country was subject to enormous, perhaps existential economic pressure, coupled with a clear diplomatic endgame. So, part of the strategy, I think, has merit in historic precedent, which is to try to subject the regime to enormous pressure. What we don't see is a clear diplomatic strategy and a clear diplomatic endgame.
You talk about how in the past Iran has given in only a handful of times, two that you just listed here, to pressure. And the country, no doubt, is under immense pressure economically right now, in addition to the damage sustained during the military component of this war. The blockade itself has been damaging. Iran exported zero crude in May, down from 2.1 million barrels a day. Iran's own central bank governor admitted this week that oil exports have entirely stopped, though Tehran's economy minister claims that they have a 2-year plan to ride all of this out. Is that bluster, you think, for
2 years
its
is long.
population?
That's a long time.
Or can they ride this out for 2 years?
Nobody knows what's going on.
Well, this is a regime which has long been willing to subject its population to enormous hardship rather than compromise. And right now it's a regime ruled by Revolutionary Guard commanders who are somewhat insensitive to popular suffering. As you alluded to, Bianna, this is one of the economies.
Wait.
You know,
They're what did he say? They are immune to what? I gotta hear that again.
I missed it. I was looking for something.
Economies, which is, there's probably no country in the world with a greater gap between how it's doing economically and what it should be doing economically. You know, Iran should be a G20 nation. It has enormous oil and gas resources. It has enormous human potential, human capacity, but it's suffering from around 70% inflation, collapsing currency, triple-digit food inflation. And so it is possible that they can withstand this for perhaps another year or so, especially if it's not sustained economic pressure. But you know, at some point, I think that the regime is likely going to have to compromise or face another popular tumult.
The Treasury Secretary gave a
nice way to phrase regime change. Popular tumult.
What do you say? A popular what?
Popular tumult.
Oh, tumult. Oh. I must not have went back far enough, but it sounded like he was trying to imply that that Iran was like cruel or whatever to try to subject, subject people to this, to doing this for 2 years or whatever.
The government is to the suffering of their people, basically, or that they're
Immune
not.
to the suffering. Yeah, that's what he said. Immune to the suffering of. I thought he said the populace, though.
He was trying to make the point that they're not immune to the sanctions, that they're going to bring them down eventually. We just need to give them time to work, which is the fucking argument that they've been making for like decades. And so they aren't necessarily immune, but if they found ways like with their allies like China and Russia to be able to survive long enough through the sanctions for them to change the global economic system, then whatever pain they're going through will be worth it in the end, in a way. As vicious as it is to phrase it that way,
well,
because
two
it's
things
America
like
suffer after this. They lose hegemony.
well, two things come to mind. One is he has the unmitigated gall to say something like that when we've been, like you said, sanctioning them like for how many decades? Like all the cruelty, messing with their weather, all of these things, and now you want to whine and bitch about 2 years because you might get affected because the Strait of economically because the Strait of Hormuz is closed to you. Like whine some more.
It's just like those academics with their letter that we haven't even read or got, like we never will read. They put this letter as the Guardian, but what about the political prisoners in Iran? How cruel of you to act like this, where the injustice going on to them is you don't care? What's wrong with you? Don't you want to save the Iranian people? Fuck you. You guys are the assholes who are putting them in danger in the first place. You want to save them? Stop warring against them.
And then he's saying it with like a straight face, like, and I wonder how many people who watch this caught that, or if they're just like, yeah, why would Iran do that to us?
Sounds
why
would
he?
No life protected.
Yeah, they must be really evil people over there. We gotta eradicate them. Oh my gosh. Rondo has a really good point. 2 years is the next presidential election, because I can't remember who said it. I don't know enough about their the roles that they have over there to just spew out names. So sorry about that, but they had mentioned that they are not going to stop this war until Donald Trump is gone. Now, that could mean gone from the presidency in 2028, or that could mean, are you guys gonna impeach him and get him out of there? Like,
this is the window of opportunity for the fascists and the neo-Nazis. I've been feeling like this, like if they don't get their plans by 2030, they're probably gonna try and come back with some kind of plan B, C, or D, or whatever. But like they really do seem to be making their big push now for what it's worth. For our needs to respond to that, we do need to have a response to that. You don't want to just kind of hope that their plans will fail. We could maybe help those plans along towards failure. It would be in our own interests. They want to enslave us forever. They want to impose a technocratic whatever prison.
why are not women able to TV? You sure?
Then when I nobody at that church, and you're saying asking those words.
Can you check? Thank you.
Hey, Tosh.
Sorry about that.
That's all
Why
good.
did you say hi? All right, so check.
Well, if you want to have a carry on, just go ahead, press play.
Yesterday in an op-ed that he wrote over the weekend in the Financial Times, and he wrote this: "At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary. And if, as the regime's grasp on power crumbles alongside its economy, Iran resorts to military action against U.S. forces or its Gulf neighbors, make no mistake, President Trump will respond swiftly and decisively. This was the secretary setting expectations before the announcement, and yet I'd like to play for you what he said in response to a question from our Kevin Liptak.
You described this as an economic D-Day, but D-Day wasn't a threat of an invasion, and the U.S. didn't give a timeline to Germany. So why not impose the sanctions today?
Well, we are giving everyone the opportunity to remedy bad behavior. Why would I want to blow up the global financial system? We believe that it is important to level set and give people a cure period, but they should know that that will move very quickly and that we are serious.
What do you make of his response? And is that an answer that Iranian officials today take seriously, in your view?
Well, Bianna, Iran is one of the most isolated economies in the world. The country which will play a decisive role here is China, because around 90% of Iran's oil exports are bound to China. I would say that, absent economic cooperation with China, the Iranian regime wouldn't be able to sustain itself economically. So the big question is whether the Trump administration will go after Chinese companies, sanction Chinese companies, and potentially escalate an economic war with China over this Iran fight. So, that remains to be seen. Another big question is how Iran will choose to retaliate. I think one of the lessons that Iran learned from this war is that you don't win concessions by compromising. You win concessions from the United States by punching back. And they have threatened to go after energy installations throughout the Persian Gulf. And so there is a real danger that Iran chooses to retaliate against this economic warfare by bombing oil and gas installations in the Arab Gulf countries. And it's a big question of whether the United States has the back of those countries.
You referenced China. The secretary was asked about China.
For the sake of time, I don't know if you want to finish this.
Yeah.
Because we got to get going soon. But I think it's important to cap this off with this article, the last one that I put in, the Merchant News. Even if we can't get the whole article out, at least we'll kind of, maybe we could tease it, read the first few paragraphs, and if people are interested, they can follow up and read it themselves. But it's important to recognize what China is actually doing. The byline is the biggest swing buyer in the oil market has gone quiet, and that quiet is the main thing keeping crude cheap. The day Beijing decides to buy again is the day the whole trade turns over. So that's like the big thing going on in the background is what they're not really talking about is China's, like what we've been saying is like, why is China saving the global capitalist system? Where what they're doing is suppressing the price of oil, while this Strait of Hormuz crisis, it seems to have been designed to shoot the price of oil through the roof. And China has taken the opportunity to, I guess, to control the price or whatever at this particular moment, gives China like all the cards here. And so, because we need to understand, like, I'm concerned as far as if they're not going to be actually taking down the American hegemony or whatever, like, now is the time for them to betray us or whatever. So we need to be watching China's actions closely. But I think because they may be finally or whatever carrying out their grand masterpiece of a plan or whatever, and we'll be witnessing like the fall of the like this is it, right? It's just we've been waiting for it for so long. It's hard to tell if it's actually arrived. So
that's good. That's yeah, we need to talk about that. And I don't think we should when we start going deeper into this analysis, I don't think we should leave OPEC out of the conversation. When we do next time we talk about this, because this OPEC has kind of propped us up before.
It's kind of like still around, but it's like I've been before questioning, I think, is OPEC dead? Because I haven't heard anyone really asking that question, but it does seem to have, all of a sudden it's no longer relevant and no one's talking about it anymore when it used to be.
Oh, they talk about it.
Yeah.
They talk about it, but they don't seem to be helping in any way with the the production or the helping with the price of a barrel. So
I'm just saying, like,
that's
with
interesting.
all this trade war stuff going lately, like OPEC and BRICS and the G20 all seem to kind of be pretty much irrelevant for the time being. Whether they're going to come back when the time is right, or their time in history has come to an end and there's going to be a pivot year, that's what we're going to be wanting to find out. So
They're probably trying to see how this is playing off, and if China is part of BRICS, so technically BRICS is kind of in the mix. But look, this guy right here, I finally agreed with something he said. Like, I was saying, well, Ron knows that the way to deal with America is not to compromise, but you got to hit back. And I'm like, yes. Do not compromise with these people.
Yep.
They will lie. They are liars. It doesn't matter what you sign. They will not honor they're not honorable men.
Yep, and they're willing to say that Iran does have the capacity to seriously retaliate. We should be wary of them as if they're a real, formidable threat. They're not just a bunch of, disorganized people with AKs or 47s or whatever.
Right. They're not like they actually have a military, unlike the other people you were harassing that didn't even have a uniform, calling them insurgents. The insurgents, what you mean the citizens? These people are walking out here with flip-flops and shorts on. Like, what's their military uniform?
So why don't we call
I
it?
don't know what just happened.
I just pulled it back. Whatever. I'm saying we got
I have the article.
Yeah, you want to go to that? The China.
Oh, you don't want to finish this video?
Well, I'm just saying we're kind of running out of time. If like 9 o'clock is coming up for me, we can go a bit over. We're going almost 3 hours now. I just think that what would be more important, I think, is to read some of this Merchants News Substack article, if you don't mind. Sorry to be pushy or whatever, but I'm not trying to be keeping everyone too long either. And then CNN, as wonderful as they are, don't necessarily. We've given them plenty of airtime tonight, actually. So,
Cool. What just happened?
I don't know. And I'm not sure if you're getting tired too. I'm hoping to try and finish up here. My voice is getting tired, guys. Sorry.
Merchant News. So what is China actually doing? This is
I have no idea who this is. I just found this today. So
okay.
I just found it
I'm
to
just
be
curious.
What I did read of it, I found to be compelling. So I'm sharing it.
Yeah, I was just curious to know who he was. Okay.
Yeah.
The biggest swing buyer in the oil market has gone quiet. And that quiet is the main thing keeping crude cheap. Oops. The day Beijing decides to buy again, please, T. Thank you. The day Beijing decides to buy again is everybody was telling you hello, by the way. T.
I hope you're doing well.
She said, hello, everybody. Okay. The day Beijing decides to buy again is the day the whole trade turns over. Interesting little
AI graphic.
Yeah.
For artists these days.
On Monday, the U.S. diesel crack settled above 100 a barrel for the first time in history. $102.20 at the peak. Huh. I didn't know that in history. Okay. A refiner today earns more from the cracking than the barrel itself cost to buy. Oh, okay. I won't read.
What they're talking about is
that piece here.
he's talking about refining the oil into diesel fuel.
Yeah, okay. Because I got confused there for a second.
Yeah.
So not the okay. So after it's refined,
Cocaine, diesel crack.
crack cocaine. I won't relitigate that piece here. I only want you to hold the fact in your head. And before the article, I asked whether Washington was about to shut the export door. Article here. You can look at that later. Big Oil had just printed a record second quarter. Pump prices were climbing into an election year, and I walked through what it would mean if the White House started capping American crude and product exports to protect the voter at the gas station. Palmer Ston gave us the frame back then. Nations have no permanent friends, only permanent interests. Both of those stories share a hole in the middle. The hole is China. Something in the crude price doesn't add up. It should bother anyone who is long. What? Oh, and it should bother. I don't know why I can't. Yeah, I must be getting tired.
He's speaking like an investor, so he's probably a capitalist trader. They call themselves traders, but yeah.
Something in the crude price doesn't add up, and it should bother anyone who is long. So yeah, he's talking about long and short.
Yeah.
Yeah. WTI is sitting in the mid 80s while refining margins print records and two shooting wars bear down on supply. On that setup, Brent has every reason to be through $100. Who is Brent?
Brent is the American, like one of the benchmarks that they use for the American price of a barrel of oil. Is
okay.
Company's Brent crude, whatever oil.
Oh, okay. See, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
But on that setup, Brent has every reason to be through $100. It isn't for now. The reason has a single name: Beijing. China has quietly stopped buying anywhere near the volumes it used to because they have tons of reserves, and its absence from the market is the main thing holding the whole price structure down. Crude is cheap for one reason, and the reason is that the world's biggest buyer has stopped showing up. They have tons of reserves of oil.
Sure, like, but reserves of oil only last for so long, and it's like not something.
But they have a lot.
Yeah, it's like going into savings in the bank. You want to have income coming in. You don't want to just be using up your savings. But they have obviously they've had a plan coming for this crisis for a long time. They waited. America pulled the trigger, and so did China. And this is what happened when China pulled the trigger. A little bit quieter, but a lot more sophisticated, I think.
So obviously, like, you don't want to use your reserves, obviously, but they're doing it for a reason, and it's not going to affect them because they have so many reserves. I mean, I'm sure that's what they're counting on.
I think what actually, if I got it right, by delaying what they've done by suppressing the oil prices, they've delayed the crisis, but by doing that, they actually make it when it does land, it's gonna hit so much harder. Mm-hmm. And so they're kind of like building up their fucking punch to make sure it hits way harder, and then it gives them also an opportunity for negotiating power with like the West to be like, everyone can see we've got all the cards. You guys don't have any cards left to play. Are you ready to fucking cry uncle yet? And they're gonna, we'll give you a couple months or whatever to fucking sign your will and everything, but you're done now. So that seems like what they've done to the West. Unless my more paranoid kind of attitude that China maybe is not as like Marxist or communist as they claim they are, and they really have already a long time ago sold out their people, and they've just been working with the Americans and the Russians, all the capitalist oligarchs behind the scenes all along. That's kind of a little too anti-communist, really, to be considering China to be such an imperialist force in the world. But what it seems to have had to do is amass the power of what could easily become an empire if they wanted to, in order to have enough power to take on the United States empire. So it's just that thing about contradictions or whatever, you know. If you really read about the socialist and Marxist theories and stuff, you recognize how the whole point is to wrestle with these contradictions. We're not trying to be fucking purists about we're not trying to be liberals about our approach. We're not trying to be conservatives or fascists either. We're trying to be realist or whatever, more realist than a conservative ever could be, or a liberal.
So I'm not going to read all of this because I know you're ready to go, but I just wanted to point out that our strategic reserve is down to about 307 million barrels, the lowest since 1983, and it's still falling at the fastest pace on record. Since the Iran war kicked off in late February, Washington has pulled roughly 172 million barrels out of it to shave the top off every price spike, running at 3 to 5 million a week. It isn't empty, but keep draining at this clip, and you reach the practical floor somewhere near 300 million, where the energy secretary starts needing Congress to go any lower. So,
so we got some historically unprecedented crashes in these lines on graphs, and some historically unprecedented rises in these lines on some graphs. So the part earlier about the diesel is most important to recognize how, like, the global economy, when you're talking about the choke points part of this, what's going on here, it's the diesel is one of the choke points. It's not a geographic choke point, it's an economic one. Like, the whole system runs on diesel. And so while we're confused with the prices at the pump are high, but they're not as high as we would expect as a civilian consumer, well, if you really wanted to cripple another nation through trade war, you gotta maybe be targeting diesel more so than the gasoline of the average citizen. So let's maybe learn more about diesel. If you don't, I don't know really anything about diesel, right? But I do know, like, the heavier the boats and the planes and the trucks and everything, all the things that carry all the things that your city needs to be a living city and not a fucking dead one. It's diesel that gets it there.
So it's important to point out too that China was getting a large majority of its oil from Venezuela. But now they don't have that. Unless they do, like, what is America doing with Trump? With Venezuela's oil? What are we doing with it right now?
It seems like
nobody's
maybe
really talking about it.
China made the calculated decision that even if America gets the prize of Venezuela that it's been slobbering over for all these decades, that might be enough of a fatal distraction because it thinks that it's going to be a bigger prize than it is. Venezuela has more oil than the rest of any other country in the world, but can't get it out of the ground without the kind of years-long investments. And if your empire falls apart before you can realize that investment, doesn't matter how much oil Venezuela has.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems pretty cold. I think China did throw Venezuela under the bus to some degree. I think it's suspicious to me that China's had their top foreign officials visiting Venezuela like a day before Maduro was captured. And we were talking earlier about America and Russia sharing intelligence. I'm sure to some degree there's some sharing of intelligence that still goes on between China and America, but they don't have the same kind of relationship as Russia and the U.S. does. But Russia doesn't exactly have a robust relationship with the U.S. either, and yet they're sharing intelligence, whatever, with their spy chiefs and whatnot. So I'm wondering, how much did China know about what was going to happen, what did happen to Maduro before it happened, and how much? And it matters if they didn't know as much as if they did, because it would demonstrate that they don't have the ability to know these things, where they don't have enough spies in American high places to be able to see something like that coming whatever. That would be a little bit of an example of the competence of the American, whatever, apparatus. But I think that I don't feel like it's far-fetched to believe that America could be so good at pulling off an operation like kidnapping Maduro that the Chinese had no idea it was going to happen.
Do you remember when all those oil companies went to the White House after the Venezuela thing? Tucker Carlson was there clapping when Trump walked in the door, and the oil companies really didn't have much interest in going into Venezuela because of the infrastructure that they had there.
It would cost them more. They wouldn't be able to make enough profit. That's the only thing that makes a capitalist reluctant is the investment's not a good one in their mind. You know?
And then he's like, "Well, why'd you leave?" And because of your sanctions, sir. His stupid ass didn't even. And he just went, like, you obviously didn't think anything through. Like, you don't even understand that market.
They really don't think they need, like, so many people in the West. I get the criticisms of all the other people looking at the West or whatever. I get critical about people criticizing us or whatever, but your criticisms are spot on about so many Westerners, right? People don't think they need to think anymore. They think they got it good. They just gotta, whatever, kiss the right ass and lie about the right lie at the right time. They don't even need to know what the fuck's going on or whatever. And that's like, America is now fully finding out, like, the finding out is finally happening about all that fucking around, whatever. You can only get away with being ignorantly bliss for so long, America.
So, I don't know if anybody knows this, but BP, you know what BP's original name was?
British Petroleum was the Iranian whatever oil company, whatever.
Anglo-Persian Oil Company. Mm-hmm. Was founded in 1909. And then in 1935, they changed their name to Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. And then in 1954, this is after the regime change and the Shah became a dictator, took their oil. Their name was changed to British Petroleum in 1954. So ain't that something?
It's funny to bring up BP as far as the whole occult stuff, just to finish it off where we started a little bit. The power of symbols and propaganda or whatever. It's a fun exercise to compare all these corporate symbols because there's a whole lot of recurring themes, like these, just like Palantir and Anduril and all these Lord of the Rings fucking intelligence community companies. Like the if you look at all the car companies, like the biggest corporations we know, like Shell and BP and stuff, there are recurring occultic themes that come up in their fucking corporate symbolism. So you want to talk about fucking commies with their propaganda and their occultism or whatever. It's like, look at the corporation, or look at fucking America. You have no one more occultic than them, you know what I mean? Anyway. Corporate America is so fucking satanic or whatever, you know what I mean? Like in a literal kind of sense. Yeah.
I do know what you mean. So yeah, I'll put the original in the chat. If anybody wants to go look at that. Look at that article.
Oh, you want me to put that link in the chat for this article here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Are we getting about wrapping up here? Got any final comments? I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. A bit of a long one, which we often do. I hope you could hear me very well. I feel like I'm going to play this back, and I'm not going to be able to hear anything I'm saying. I'll do my best to protect my voice for you guys.
What is the United States right? Oh. The United States is ran like the Lord of the Flies. all of his agents have the attention of a gnat.
Nice.
Yeah. The United States of Amnesia. Good one, Karen. Good one.
That's the American dream. What's the other one? It's you have to be asleep to believe in it.
All right, some George Carlin in the house. Okay. Okay, I'll see you. All right, so let me see. Okay, now is my time to say, Bella.
Bella, ready? Sun's starting to go down a little earlier.
Hey, Bella. Hey, sweet Bella.
She was ready a half hour ago.
Okay.
She had a stressful night last night, so
I bet.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's wrong with these humans?
Yeah.
What do y'all got going on? So I did want to, let me see if I could play something fun on the way out the door. I was trying to find something fun. I was never able to find that thing that you.
Maybe we should play this song one day. You ever heard of Bella Ciao? I haven't really listened to the song, but I've heard the old-fashioned anti-fascist song. Someone was started singing.
Valenti sings it all the time. Valenti sings it all the time. I don't know if you guys watch Valenti.
No.
But I like watching him because he's a total crash out. Huh?
That's the ranting Italian socialist?
Yes. He's a total crash out. Let me see if I can find. I guess it really doesn't matter which one I play, but I thought this one would be a good point since we were talking about shut the fuck up. Like, basically, I could just tell you what he said since I can't find it. So they were asking about DSA, like what does the Democratic Party think about DSA, and the man was like, we're not worried about them. They're just a bunch of nerds. And I was like, what? Okay, way to alienate people in your party. Like, they're just a bunch of nerds, and we don't need them. And okay.
Yeah, but that's also the same kind of like reaction most of the more radical socialists I've come across. Anyone who's who's like supportive of the DSA is a little bit of like the unserious kind of. So for people to be a more serious Marxist, they have that same kind of attitude. Like, all right, those people are a bunch of nerds or whatever, bunch of Dungeons and Dragons players are never gonna amount to fucking jack shit. Let's focus on the real revolutionaries.
Well, these weren't. No, this was a DNC person, not.
Yeah, which is funny. It's always pay attention when your rhetoric starts to line up with your opposite or your enemy. So maybe they're just doing it to try and take our words away. But I find it uncomfortable when I appear to be agreeing with a Democrat or a Republican or something like that. So.
Well, you are.
Yeah. But we all, like, for the most, I bet you, like, ask half the people in the chat, whatever. You guys think the DSA is serious? I'm pretty sure we've established that that they're not really. We have strong reason to believe they are not serious. And the DNC knows that. They're just calling them out for whatever opportunistic reason.
I think the DSA is the FDR of our time. They are going to usher in some socialist policies to save capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
That's a good point. I'm on board with that. I think we are in agreement on that one.
Yep. So, yeah, let me see which one I'm going to play. You want me to play something about communism?
Whatever you want. You know, I always love talking, hearing about communism.
Yeah, but you're leaving. I was just gonna play it on the way out.
Yeah, sure. No, if you want to be, I can just head out now, and then if you want to play something when you find it.
I found something.
Oh, good.
It's called MAGA Loves Communism.
Unironic.
Oh wait, this is actually 9 minutes long.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you want to
Jeez.
just like, if people just kind of want to file out whenever they're ready, it doesn't make much of a difference. You know, it's not super long. Whatever you want.
Okay. All right. Well, you want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah. Well, thank you again for everyone for being here with us. Any newcomers, new subscribers, we always appreciate you. Please stick with us. Come back next time. For anyone on Rumble, thank you for being you guys. You know.
You never say anything in Rumble. Hey, Rumble.
And anyone who watches the after the live, thank you for clicking on the video, even though you couldn't hop in the live chat and actually talk to us. Because sometimes it feels like that's all people really want to do is like not so much interested in the whole show as much as they are just kind of chit chatting, which is great. It's fine. We want to hear from you, but we also appreciate people who want to know, like, want to appreciate the work that we're doing. You know, so thank you.
Okay. With that being said, I am going to put this on, and I'll let you go, and I'll just end the show. Okay. You enjoy your walk, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
And hey, everybody at home, be kind to yourself, your friends, your family, and keep the revolution alive. Keep the revolution alive.
Yeah. Peace.
You have no understanding of how things work. None. And I mean that so sincerely.
MAGA Crash Outs, episode 78, the least self-aware people on the planet. When you try to make a robust defense of capitalism, but end up exposing its flaws and ultimately defending some shit that sounds suspiciously communist.
This comment was in response to this video.
Money won't matter in 2036.
I'm not sure that the people who bought your shares think that money won't matter in 2036.
Well, what do you want money for? You want money for goods and services, right? You want money for obviously food, housing, transport, entertainment. Well, if that is so abundant that there's more, that the robots and AI are providing more goods and services than any human could possibly consume, what do you need money for?
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that before. Now, certainly not in its entirety, but that sounds a lot like what some of us might call post-scarcity, high-phase communism. A world in which currency only exists as a symbol to represent voluntary trade, right? And distribution is no longer based on the capital value of that exchange. In other words, fundamentally changing the social relations between employer and employed, right? He even says in this interview that the Treasury should just start cutting checks. It sounds to me like conservatives are starting to say, you'll get everything for free, MAGA.
I do struggle to relate to the 66,000 people that liked this comment because I really don't understand how their brains seem to not work properly.
Yeah, most epic straw man of all time. Just not going to address what Elon.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry. I messed that up myself. But I'm going to get back to it because it is funny as hell. All right, so let me back up a little bit. Okay. All right. One more again.
Straw man of all time, just not going to address what Elon was actually saying. Now she goes on to expose some of the flaws with capitalism.
And people that liked this comment because I really don't understand how their brains seem to not work properly.
Yeah, most epic straw man of all time, just not going to address what Elon was actually saying. Now she goes on to expose some of the flaws with capitalism.
But this comment assumes Elon has money to give away. He does not. 99.9% of his net worth is tied up in his businesses.
Yep, and that's how they get out of paying taxes. She's absolutely right. His fortune is wrapped up in stock options in these various companies. None of these guys draw a salary, but they can borrow against that valuation and receive billions upon billions of untaxed dollars to fund these lavish fucking lifestyles while never paying any tax. The only way they are taxed is capital gains, which is why they always want to keep it so low and why guys like Elon experience a lower effective tax rate than any one of us. One of the major problems.
The average mind cannot compute the technologies his companies are building. He's reimagining space exploration, transportation, giving people in the most remote and poorest regions of the world access to the internet, which gives them the ability to make money, access medical care, and emergency response services that they did not previously have. He is working to give the blind the ability to see. Those who were unable to communicate, he's gifting them with the ability to communicate. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, to be clear, Elon is doing absolutely none of that shit. As I make this, he's somewhere in a fucking K-hole trying to put forks together and convince a 19-year-old to act as a surrogate so he can artificially inseminate her and send his little quiver full of Afrikaners back and reestablish apartheid, which seems to be his primary motivation. That's, of course, in between inciting racial pogroms in Europe and trying to convince Americans that Black people are incompatible with Western civilization, while other people are creating all of the technologies that you credit Elon with. He's never created a motherfucking thing.
And he's a leader in AI and robotics, working to create a world of abundance. And he is the best at it, the best the world has ever seen.
No, that would be Deng Xiaoping, who lifted 800 million people out of poverty. Still a record to this day. And to my knowledge, Elon Musk has never lifted a single fucking person out of poverty. He has, however, ensured that 14.5 million people will be dead by 2030. 4.5 million of them under the age of 5 due to the chainsaw he took to USAID, making him the most prolific mass murderer of the 21st century, kind of the opposite of abundance. But the reason I'm bringing Deng up is because she's about to provide essentially the same defense that China does in defending social markets as a step towards communism.
Singularly. So why would we not want the best focused on creating a world of abundance? His vision for the world that is being executed through his companies, because he owns them, and if he sold them, he wouldn't own them anymore. His vision for the world is one where people don't have to work, will have all their needs and most of their wants met. All of these advancements are happening regardless of him specifically, but the way in which they happen, it's a really big deal.
Yup, she's a fucking dangus. This is essentially just a dumber version of the same argument they put forth, because everybody always wants to knock China, right? Is not authentically socialist, not authentically communist, which they're not. But they will put forth the argument that this is actually a very important step towards socialism, towards communism, building up the productive capacities to ensure an abundant high-phase communist society in which money itself has no value beyond symbolic representation of voluntary exchange. And eventually we'll get there. But for right now, we need the capitalist class, private ownership, and foreign investment to build out this abundant, productive society. The exact same fucking argument.
Because if a communist government, like say China, has monopoly of these types of technologies, that would give a corrupt government more control over people, which you don't want ever.
Yep, she pivots to China, not recognizing the fucking irony because none of them understand how the world works or what it is they're arguing for at this point. So remember, we're basically advocating for the same outcomes at this point, a moneyless, abundant society. But what she's arguing for is one-man rule, dictatorship over all of it. Real world example, Starlink, right? The only thing you can really point to is a potential benefit for all mankind. But as it stands right now, there is exactly one psychopathic white supremacist who can decide to remove all of that access at will if these countries do not acquiesce to his material demands. Now, which sounds better, that or conferring that authority to an elected government? Or even the big scary China? At least it's not one fucking K-hold psychopath with this fat fucking finger on the trigger.
If he gives his money away, he loses the ability to work for humanity's future and gives it to people who are not as good, not as efficient, not as effective, or corrupt. And then also,
Valley Girl gives hot takes on shit she doesn't understand and ends up advocating for a one-man single-party dictatorship of the proletariat. I swear these people are 3 days away from screaming bombard the fucking headquarters, which is why this Mao shit is so ridiculous. When we're going to see a MAGA cultural revolution in a month, at this rate, what they're ultimately advocating for is one-man dictatorship. Because if Elon did usher in this era of abundance, that would confer upon him dictatorial authority. But we need to trust that more so than elected governments, right? Or even just governments in general that involve more than one fucking person. Never let these people call you a Maoist again. Book recommendation, since we've been talking about him so much. Mao, The Real Story by Alexander Pansoff and Stephen Levin. I know I'm probably saying that first name wrong. Don't worry, it's not revisionist, not apologia. It's just the actual history. And it really is fascinating. If you've never looked into them because Western education discourages it, highly suggest you do. There is no parallel in world history. Check it out.